Boobies!
Hello. And
Hi.
Howdy. Great. Hello, I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
I forgot how to speak.
It's okay. It happens to the best of us.
Well, we are a podcast called Boobies. We are your hosts, as we just said. And today we have a very, very special guest. Yay! Ooh, this is Boobies, only fan. Aside from
Our devout fan.
Yeah. Our devout fan. And aside from who this podcast is sponsored by. And then, yeah, she's one of my former students, so this is going to be weird.
No, it's not.
No, it's just going to be weird having to say cuss words in front of you because I will, but I know that you listen.
Yeah.
So, anyways, without further ado, this is Kesley.
Hi.
Hi, Kesley.
Why'd you say it like that? Hi.
She said it perfectly.
That's my voice.
I don't know. It sounds weird.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I love it.
When we're excited to have you here to talk about a film, and it probably do you want to do the honors to say? Well, I think did we mention it last time?
We did say what we were going to be covering.
Just say drum roll, please. What we're covering today?
Today we are watching The Babadook.
Yay! The Babadook, 2013. For real this time, right?
I think it's 2014, Caitlin.
Jesus Christ!
But you know what? It's okay.
I give up.
Release date 2014. It might have been made or released somewhere else somewhere you might have seen maybe.
No. No, I'm just dumb.
Did you go to one of those film festivals before we got to see it?
I did.
Actually, we should.
It could have been released maybe in Australia in 2013.
Maybe that's why.
No, but it's literally released at the end of 2014.
Yeah,
so
I don't know, girl.
Who knows?
It's okay. But where did we watch this, you guys? Or at least, yeah, I think we all did.
We all watched it on my Shudder.
Shout out Shudder.
Give us free trials so that way everyone else can try their own.
As well, yes.
And we'll stop.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even put why did I think it was 2013? I didn't even put it up there.
It's okay.
But
it's 2014. And it's a horror movie. Obviously. It's got a lot of spooks. It's kind of like a really... how would you describe it as a horror? Is it like a monster movie-ish / psychological
thriller?
Yeah.
For sure. And then it is a monster movie.
Yeah.
That is literally what it is. So, but
there's so many layers to it.
There is. Yeah. As we learned from Scream 5, which is where Kesley had only heard of this movie, right?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Because they were.
You can talk more and laugh. That's okay. You can laugh.
Yeah, you can laugh into the mic. What's her name? Jenna Ortega's character, right? Yeah.
Yeah. At the beginning,
brought it up.
She was like, "It's elevated horror," and then she got stabbed, which was a little funny.
Yeah.
Thank God we didn't get stabbed.
And she didn't just get stabbed. She got stabbed, and then her leg broken. That
was cool.
It was very cool. Actually.
It was.
That whole scene had me.
Can we? I'm gonna drink out of this one more.
I don't know where
there you go. Oh no, you can. I move my water to it.
I love it. I love this.
Oh, sorry, it's leaking a little bit.
That's okay.
But there is so much that buckle up. This is probably gonna be a little bit of a long one because A, we have a guest, and then B, there is so much that goes into this film, and I found so many little fun facts and stuff that I want to share about it too.
Please. Let the crowd know.
Let the crowd know. Give the people what they want. And then also, she brought up a good point. She was like, "Are we doing this because it's Pride Month?" And I was like, "Because Babadook is a queer hero,
queer icon
honestly, now. Yeah,
literally. Yeah.
People dress up as him at Pride, and
I was reading reviews for the movie on Shudder because they do that, and all I saw was "Happy Pride, Mr. Babadook," and I was like, "Wait a minute, completely forgot."
Literally representing the gays, the queers, everything in between.
It is very. It never does give Babadook a gender, doesn't it? They say non-binary hero.
They, them.
I read a whole article about how Babadook is a gay icon.
Yeah, I read one too.
And we will link
this
article.
And then there was a link to, I'm sorry, cover your ears. I can't know that you do anything. You're going to listen back anyway, so it doesn't matter. But then I found a link to the Babadook. They're making a Babadook-shaped dildo.
You sent me a picture of that. It's quite accurate.
It was. I
Quite
was like,
accurate.
wow, this is
In dildo
fun.
shape,
And
though.
obviously I need to buy this now.
But it's fitting for, she watched the movie. It's fitting for the movie because there's that one scene with the
There
mom.
is.
Oh my God.
That's the most awkward scene in the world.
Oh,
Like,
really?
so
I was
awkward.
like, yeah, get it.
I felt so happy for her. I was like, she
Yeah,
deserves
obviously,
this.
right?
And then
But-
her son started getting up, and I was like, boy, I'm gonna punch
But
you.
it's the
Go
way-
lay down.
Mm-hmm. Even when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I know what's about to happen.
I
This
put,
is-
oh
this is
no,
bad.
that's the saddest part of this movie.
Literally. And honestly, too, I don't know how she held herself together because I would have been pissed.
Yeah. Oh, I would have, I mean, what is this? What am I?
And then she just like sat
Agreed
him next
to.
to her
Oh
and
my
like was just
God.
like, go to
yeah.
bed. I'm
She
just
has like the quietest anger the whole
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't.
Well,
in the
eventually,
beginning.
Okay, I was like,
eventually.
At the end, she gets like real bad
But like
Yeah.
in the beginning,
because
she
nothing
was
is
so,
sacred.
Like,
It's Andrew found this one. It says
leave
you'll
to
be
Andrew.
screaming,
Thank you, Andrew.
Babadook.
Let me see it. I want to see it more closely. I love that it's like in front of the rain, like it has a rainbow background. The face. Someone like really took the time to like
Really carve it out.
Yeah, carve that out, and then they made a mold of it, and they're just like mass producing these.
They're
kind of
honestly
also-
a genius.
If you look at it this way, though, they could brand this because if you look at it this way, it looks kind of like the alien from Alien. All right. Okay. Shall we get into the movie?
Let's
guys?
just get into it.
the thick of it.
Should we read some of the
Into
fun facts
The thick of
now,
it. Actually,
or just all at the
that's a
beginning?
good idea. And also, do you see how like when I tried to type in the Babadook, it put the Babadook?
Okay, do you remember all the Babadook memes?
Yeah.
Okay,
uh-huh.
I was
That's why
like, there were
hmm.
Babadook memes
The
too.
phone knows. The phone knows. Yeah, I remember like a few years, like 2016, a couple years after it came out, is like when it started taking off.
Yeah,
The meme scope.
bunch of Babadook. There was like a Babadook Valentine too, I think.
yeah, I didn't have any like social media or anything when this movie came out or like afterwards, and so like
I
the only
forget
reason
you were a baby.
Yeah. But also strict parents, but like
Yeah.
Oh,
but like my cousins one day they were just like talking about it and I was like, that's the worst thing I've ever heard of. Is this because like it's just a creepy guy in a top hat, and I was like, that's scary.
That's scary enough.
which is an actual. I mean, there is a very common ghost called the Top Hat Man who is been widespread seen by lots of people. And
Oh,
he'll
you mean in like in real life?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, this is a real ghost. And then there's the Bowler Hat Man from the Haunting of Hill House. That guy's also very creepy and very elongated as well.
I made my way the other night to haunted TikTok and watched like all these paranormal TikTok videos and,
Of like real.
real life stuff, and I'm like, how? And I'm like, half of them I can tell you they were not doctored. It was real. I was
Yeah.
like, that's some creepy
I've
shit.
seen some on TikTok that I'm like, yeah, no, this looks legit. I don't know. Anyways, some of the fun facts. So this actually was director Jennifer Kent's first like feature film.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Full length film.
That's a
She
great
had
debut.
actually made a short film called Monster before this that she now refers to as Baby Babadook because it's
okay.
basically just a quickened version
of that
of this. Same monster and stuff in it, but she hadn't come up with the name Babadook yet. So that was pretty cool. And I mean, for this to be her first like feature length film is insane because it's so well shot. So many wonderful, just beautiful moments in this film. And for it to be your first like go is like, oh, damn.
I totally feel that. There were a lot of moments where I was like, and even with the choices of like what was going on with the lack of, and then when there would be music, but it's kind of not even music. It was kind of just like sound effect type of music. And I was like, that's such a good choice to put in.
So fun fact about those sound effects.
Oh, okay.
It has a weird connection to World of Warcraft. Basically, the sound design of the film is one that sends, okay, I'm just going to read this because it sends it chills up one's spine. Each creak, growl, and roar is still horrifying to think about. But when it came to the sound design, one aspect had to be used from none other than the popular game franchise World of Warcraft. They also used a bunch of like stock horror sounds and then just other like games. But I think World of Warcraft was one of the biggest ones. And so in some scenes where the Babadook himself is in the room, a sound effect from the game can be heard. Specifically, it is the sound of some dragons in the game when one interacted with them.
Oh.
And while knowing that it makes the sound is a bit silly, but actually hearing it is something else entirely. This was a very low budget film too.
Yeah. Well, I love that with like comping audio tracks. Like you can get like you can layer so many different types of sounds and get like this complete like you know mashup of what we were hearing, which was really cool to me. I like that I was hearing like all the snarling and like different animal-ish type of sounds.
Yeah. There was at one point where I was like, he gives me like bug vibes, like a Mothman kind of, but then also an alien with some of the sounds that were happening, and then like the light distortion that would happen some of the times, not like with the actual flickering, but the
like whenever it would flash white and she would be like blinded like towards the end kind of moments.
Yeah, give me very like alien-esque.
Like a American Horror Story. Yeah. I feel that.
And so while the Babadook is not actually based off of anything, this is an original idea. Kind of. I mean, there is no other, like the Babadook came from this movie.
Yeah.
There was no like folklore, before it. Basically, she had a friend who had a child who was like terrorized by this monster, or the idea of a monster like around their house and stuff.
Like a bad imaginary friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, what do you mean? Like they would put like monster in quotations and like terrorize, and I was like, no, this kid probably actually fucking saw it. Like, come on. But there are a few different like meanings behind the names. In Hebrew, Babadook means he is coming for sure.
Oh.
And then there is another. I had so many articles pulled up.
Translation for it?
Yeah, there was. Wait, hold on. Look at this picture.
Aw. Happy Pride.
We should post that first. Yeah.
Love wins.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. Do you think so? She like got the name from like those translations, or she just? No,
she. So okay, has many hidden meanings. Yeah. Okay. So in Hebrew, Babadook. Go to here. Translate roughly to "he is coming for sure," and then in Serbian, the word I don't want to mess this up. I'm sorry. Babaroga, which basically means boogeyman. And she wanted it to be something like childlike that any child can make up, like Jabberwocky from Alice and stuff. Just some sort of nonsensical name. And so Babadook was, I mean, it does kind of sound a little gibberishy. It's so creepy. Yeah, whenever he says it later, I'm like, and
I know,
so
it's
she
very,
basically,
like, on the phone.
Yeah. Yes, that was the worst part. She just wanted to create a new myth that was solely like of this film and didn't exist anywhere else. And she did that. I mean, the Babadook is like now a very renowned character.
Yeah.
Lots of people know him.
Definitely joining the ranks of like, you know, in like 20, 30 years, people are going to be like, oh, with like other, you know, well, if the world was to hear me, haven't like, you know, blown up in like nuclear disaster or anything like that, you know, Armageddon. But yeah, it's, gonna join like, you know, Freddy, Jason.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Pinhead. Yeah.
Pinhead.
Do you have any other fun facts?
I do, but I think I'll save some of those for the end.
Okay.
So let's just get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So we're open with like this beautiful shot of the mom spinning around kind of ish, and you're kind of like, whoa, what's happening? Like,
oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, because
it's very weightless.
Yeah. Like whenever and so like we see that happening, and I'm thinking like, oh, I wonder what's happening, and then finally you kind of get the sense of like, well, I didn't know. The car wasn't rolling around,
Josh,
but maybe was it rolling around? I know. It was triggering, honestly.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
But no, it's okay. I'm joking. But yeah, so the car actually, so then it pans out obviously that they're in a car accident because she's looking at, you know, this man next to her, and then it's like, psh, and so yeah, she wakes up from this because her son Samuel is frightened because he's like, I saw the monster again, and so they end up, what's up?
My note said little Josh, and I was like,
Why?
Oh, how did I get his name so wrong?
Oh, Samuel.
But no, yeah, Samuel. It's when he goes and starts saying like how like I'm gonna smash his head in and do this. I was like, he's basically a little Josh over here with your very detailed.
He said, "I'll kill the monster when it comes. I'll smash its head in." And that's whenever she's like, "It's time for bed." And this is after they go and look around. And this is kind of like I feel like everybody feel like I've done this before. When you like literally open up everything, you go looking everywhere because you're just like something could be lurking behind the shower curtain or underneath the bed. And so,
there are some shower curtains that like with mine for some reason I'm perfectly fine with it being closed. But I remember at my grandma's house, I always had to open it. Like something just felt like I was being watched through it the whole time.
Or like when you're like shampooing or conditioning your hair and you're like, eyes closed, you're like, it's very psycho.
Oh, I make a very like. I make a big effort to make sure that I shampoo like basically behind so my eyes can be open like the whole time.
Showering like this.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want that. I'll like wipe it off of my forehead to make sure it's not getting my eyes. One eye's looking over here and one eye's looking over there. Keeping an eye out for Selena.
Okay. And so then she's like, time for bed, which I'm like, yeah, get this child a fucking bed because he's like psycho, honestly, already from the get-go.
If I knew him, he would have caught hands.
Yeah, for real. He was a little aggravating, to be honest.
I was getting like flashbacks to this past season.
No.
The tea is being spilled, you guys.
The tea.
But
they're going to listen and be like, who's she talking about?
Out of love. I love that.
But I will say that, like, the way that she, like, took care of her child after he was like, I had the nightmare again. And she was actively having her own nightmare.
Literally.
Yeah.
And, like, there's no one there to comfort her or take care of her. And she just has to be there for him.
Yeah.
And then, like, in the scene where they're laying together in the bed and she turns from him, all I can think is, like, she's, like, touched out. Like,
yeah.
Because, like, with a child like that and as a single mother, she's probably, like, he's constantly on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's depleted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I didn't even think about that perspective. Of, like,
I was just like, she fucking hates him.
Yeah, literally, she does. Well, I mean, and she was having that nightmare, and then he came to her with her nightmare, and so and she doesn't get the pleasure of having someone to then be consoling her and like providing her with that like nurture that we all need, no matter how old we are.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I will say, I do think while he was annoying and stuff, I think he just was literally. I mean, he has to have some pretty severe mental issues.
Oh yeah. They both do.
Yeah. Clearly, that is the whole point of this film. But so I feel like he really is just like unmedicated, and he did need psychiatric help. And so I a lot of the times honestly felt sympathy for him because of how fucking awful literally everyone was to this kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like 6 years fucking old. How are y'all just referring to him as the boy?
Like a problem.
The boy, yeah. And then the aunt, fuck her.
Oh,
Claire, she was
stupid
a bitch.
Claire, and
friends.
stupid fucking Ruby.
And Ruby,
yeah,
she deserved
to get that's what I put. I put high key. She deserved
it. She was mean. She was being very mean. But it's the way that
I would have fucking probably like punched her right in the face if someone was saying that to me.
And unfortunately, that's the case. Is like with a lot of kids up until like people become in their 20s and they start getting their own healthcare and like doing their own things for themselves. Like they have there's a lot of mental health that it's unchecked, and you just never get diagnosed.
Yeah.
And I don't
kids
know
are
if you had
savage.
anything to say about that.
One of the like reviews I had read, like somebody was like sympathizing with the Samuel because they were like, the way he was acting, that's how I grew up. Because like they had like a form of like autism, and like most children like have like their breakdowns and things like that, and people just like think they're overreacting.
They're having tantrums.
Yeah, but in reality, it's something going unchecked, and so that's what that person was relating to, and I thought it was really cool.
And then if he was to have some sort of like,
be on the spectrum or for anything, or have like ADHD or ADD or even stuff like that.
What's that one? What's that one? Where you'll like see things. What is that?
Oh, I'm not sure. Like hallucinating?
Yeah, but there's
like
schizophrenia. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, I couldn't.
you.
I was like, I know the word.
No, schizophrenia.
if it was schizophrenia, like unchecked at a young age. I don't know when that typically manifests.
I actually know that.
Okay, great. Tell me.
For most people, it actually happens like between like their young 20s to like early
so
30s.
like bipolar and
later
borderline.
later on mostly in life for a lot of people. Some people can obviously have it when they're younger, but
yeah, because like if you have bipolar 1 and stuff, that can be diagnosed earlier. Bipolar 2, which I have, typically does rear its head in your early 20s, and that was when it did for me. So anyways, like, I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of
there were a lot of times where I was like, I would have also been like, shut up, little kid. But
and this is the way that we're feeling, just the same way that she's feeling, because there's so many times in the movie where I'm like wanting to like swat him, but then also feeling the sympathy of like, wow, this child is really misunderstood. And not only that, he's having to go and he's living with someone who else is having their own, you know, mental issues and traumatic breakdown. Basically, it's like a long overdrawn breakdown that she's had since her husband has died, because she's not been able to cope with it.
And I feel like he has to, at that age, you're starting to realize some things. And when enough people have told him, like, and the way that he even like delivers the news of his father's death is like, my daddy died driving my mom to the hospital to have me.
Yeah. Well, it's
basically
quite literal.
It makes him, yes, but then it's very much putting the blame on him. He's putting the blame on himself, even then, with his wording. And then so to like know that your mom is probably she's
feeling
suffering.
That,
yeah.
And she feels that. And people aren't stupid. They
the
can
fact
feel
that
what's projected onto them.
Yeah. And that they never celebrated his birthday on the actual birthday, which is like.
So, of course, that's what he grows up understanding is that, well, this is happening and it's my fault.
Exactly.
And mommy hates me because of it. Yeah.
So that's got to fuck you up.
Yeah. He's
pretty.
The whole movie, he's just basically crying out for help.
He is. And he's clearly terrified. I mean, he was seeing something.
Yeah. It's a manifestation of all their problems into what is easy for a child to like, because they can't understand, and that's how he's coping. He's putting into the book. But then also too, we're kind of just hopping all over the place, so I'm just gonna jump in too, is the fact that like later on when she's talking to the sister's friends, she mentions that she used to write and she used to do some kid stuff. So there's also a theory that she wrote this book and she created this book in like an insomniatic like lapse of time that she doesn't remember, just like how it ended up back at the place. And she's basically manifesting everything that she can't necessarily say into the book. And then it's also getting just projected into their daily lives at this point, because like she's snapping. I
would 1000% believe that. Especially like, I mean, I am kind of shocked, that it didn't show back up after she burnt it, but then also like glad that it didn't, because that was I mean, with that theory, she could have easily put it back together and added the new pages.
After it was burned? No.
After the first time.
Yeah, the first time. Yeah. And so that kind of fits in, because since it didn't come in after it was burned, so it's not a supernatural thing making it, because it would have just came back.
Yeah.
You know, so it had to have been her. Maybe, but it's also something that's not like said or like obviously referenced, because I feel like I was kind of waiting for like a moment for them to make that a point of like she like go a flashback or something. She comes to, she's like, remember that she actually made it, but it never, you know, I think it's just up to our interpretation. Yeah. But anyways, back to the beginning of the movie, you guys. But anyways, no, yeah, she gets him back to bed, and then we have the scene of him like clenching his teeth. Like, did y'all notice
grinding the teeth?
Yeah, I was like,
I had my closed caption on. And it was like teeth grinding.
Yeah,
I was like,
and you just see it and seeing how horribly he kind of has trouble sleeping. Which is kind of like me, honestly. But yeah, how you mentioned she was like touched out when she moved away from him. I thought like, because already seeing this movie, like the separation that she put between them is a very like also like metaphor for like the space that is in between them and their relationship.
Oh damn! I'm like, my mom slept like that.
In terms of like the like, you know, like obviously they're close in proximity, but like she is not his mother, and he is like, you know what I mean, like their distance in that way. I mean,
it's like at some points their bond seems very close, but there are other times where there is a definite gap in it. Like you can tell that she wants to love him, but she's harboring too much in herself.
So
I was like, oh my God, what a sweet boy. Because I was like, he's like a little scientist. He's building shit. And then he's a magician.
That part bothered me. Seeing him in the room with like the work tools, I was like, he's 6.
Literally.
Why does he have like a
I know.
saw?
I thought that was an adult at first because you just see the hands. And I was like, I was like, who the fuck's in their house? And then I was like, oh my God, it's a kid.
It's him. Literally.
And also, she had the same alarm clock as me. So I was like,
oh no.
Time to throw it out.
Yeah, thought my thing was going off and I was stressed.
Oh, like the sound.
Yeah.
Or the look.
Or like the whole
The
alarm
alarm
clock.
All of it was the
I
same.
yeah.
Dang. Yeah, throw that shit out.
Literally. No longer
With
good to eat.
that cut to the tools and everything, I am a big fan of you kind of mentioned it earlier, but the use of silence in this film. I'm always a big fan of that. I mean, that's why I like The Quiet Place and stuff. Yeah. And then with the sharp like transitions that it was making, especially there, it kind of makes you like,
it makes you anticipate something about to happen because you're waiting for that tension to be released of like being at the edge of your seat.
And I think it like subconsciously like kind of like it doesn't like maybe necessarily like physically jar you, but like in your head you're like, oh, it makes you like uncomfortable, kind of like in Get Out whenever they were making those like really kind of almost harsh cuts that you're like.
I think for a lot of people, silence is eerie. Silence is not normal. Everybody wants to fill negative space.
The silence is deafening.
I'm do that sometimes, like when something's not being said. Yeah, it's just like, no, I can't be silent. Something's gotta be said.
It's so awkward.
And so I feel all that. And so he made that fucking, what was it, like a little catapult invention? Yeah,
catapult backpack. I was like, I want one.
Ends up waking mom, and then I put like, this kid is too much. Like, I don't know how I'd handle that. No wonder she kind of seems like already at this point like there's something wrong. And then when he hugged her after his little whatever she's fitting, I don't know what she's doing. Did he like squeeze her, like hug her? Or
I
was
think he just held on too long.
And she was just like, stop that?
Oh,
okay.
He started petting her face.
I didn't catch that.
Because he hugged her and then like he like gets off and like she's sitting there and he's petting her face and she sort of like leans into it because like that's her child that she made with her husband. And so she sort of feels like her husband's still there. That's my theory on it. And so she like pushes him off because she's like, it's too much. The idea of her husband is too much. Yeah,
that is true. That hand to the face, he cups her face a few times in the movie, and that is what ultimately brings her back in the end. And I think he was still hugging her though whenever she pushed him off. I don't know.
That's maybe
I don't know. A lot of it though, maybe he just was. I do think it is the touched out though. Like I don't think he was choking her. I think he just was too close and she was like, I can't handle this. Like get off of me.
I feel that.
Like, cause I mean, the way she like moved his foot off of her when she was sleeping, I was like, damn. Like at that point, that was when I started writing. I was like, does she like fucking hate him? Like,
and like in the beginning of the hug, she like accepted it. And then, like it just went on too long.
I get you. The like quick flip. Yeah.
Yeah. And the hugs that are too long freak me out. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I squeeze tighter.
And then I'll go pat pat, and that's my like let me go.
You actually say it too.
Them.
I do.
You usually like if somebody's hugging you too long, you'll say it out loud.
I say pat pat.
Sometimes.
I do.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That sounds like something I do.
While you do it, you just like
pat pat.
And that makes sense. Next she has him she's dropping him off at school, and it's the way that he kind of gives this little look as he's going away, right? And I'm just like, something's bad. I already know.
He got him crazy eyes.
And I'm like, something's about to happen. And so then we get a little cute moment with her at work. It's not really too much, but we kind of get like a setup. She works at like a nursing home, and we get to meet Robbie, her coworker.
Yeah, Robbie.
Like, Robbie, aw.
Whenever he came in, I was like, is this guy a major dick or just a joker? Because like when he said like, I instantly hated him because he was like, in the kitchen where you should be, and then at first I couldn't tell if he was joking, and then after 2 like times of seeing him, I was like, okay, he's actually really sweet.
He's very sweet. Yeah.
I think that was sort of just like their banter thing. Cause she said something about being like him being a woman back to it, and I loved it. But that the part where she's with the old people that comes into the play of like where I said like she's having to help all these other people.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
She's
literally a caregiver 24/7.
She goes to these old people and they're like, I didn't ask for milk, even though they did.
I know the way that she smiled and was just like, I'll get you another one. I was like, I would have been like, bitch, you did ask for milk. Like,
dang,
that's what I did at Starbucks.
I didn't even connect that.
You're so smart.
Yeah, or even think like about her being tapped out from that, of course she would be, because she's having to literally take care of like a demon child, not deal with her.
Shout out to all our caregivers.
And dealing with her own issues, and then having to deal with a bitch of a sister, and then having to deal with.
This is kind of what I feel like raising the kittens and handling myself.
Just, yeah, it's a lot.
And then she goes home.
They're psycho too.
And after everything that happens that we're probably about to talk about, then she says to Miss Roach, her neighbor, she's like, "I'll get your trash," and she's like, "Don't," and she's like, "I'm gonna do it."
She's like, "I'm gonna do it now, so it's done."
Yeah, it's like she's got this mindset of I have to help all these people.
Yeah.
She's. I think, and I do think this is something that I used to do a lot, was help other people and focus on other people's problems.
So you don't have to focus.
So I don't have to focus on my own.
Yeah.
And not actually care for myself.
I feel like that's a lot of people's coping. You know,
it's really easy to do.
That's easy.
No one wants to.
And you lose yourself in it, because it's not like it's not like a daily, then, because if you keep doing it, it's not like it's like a thing that you have to keep telling yourself to do. You just end up just doing it. You just start just doing it naturally,
then
instead of making time for yourself.
Constantly push yourself down.
Yeah, I feel that, but we're working on it.
We are. That's why I don't respond to most people all the time now. I used to be like, oh my God, if I don't respond right now, like I'm gonna be. And like they're gonna think I hate them or something, and now like I just don't respond to anyone.
It gives me Taylor Swift.
I would know.
Taylor Swift vibes.
I try to respond to you.
What is it? You want
the old Taylor's gone.
The old Taylor, she's dead.
She's dead.
And so. Yeah. He took a fucking weapon to school, because then she gets fucking called out from whatever she was doing at work, and it was literally like a little crossbow, like a mini crossbow. Like,
yeah, it had a fucking dart. It was a dart.
Yeah,
which
dart
comes into play later in the movie.
Which does, yeah.
I was living for.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, honestly, he seems like a very smart, bright little boy.
Oh yeah, he
can build
clearly
shit.
fucking smart.
And also too, I mean, later on in the movie, he can handle his own. He literally.
I mean, yeah, he
literally took
he was
care
like
of
fighting,
himself. And he kept saying the whole movie, "I'm ready. I'm gonna fight." So, and it's the way that like at the school, the principals or whatever the teachers there, they're like, he has significant behavioral issues. I'm like, that's like an understatement.
Yeah.
But also I get it. I mean, I remember when I was like, the faculty must hate this child.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in first grade, there was this one kid who had went through like pre-K, kindergarten, and up to first grade. After that, I never seen this kid again. I don't know where he is. Hopefully he's alive and well. But yeah, no, I just remember like in first grade, he would just have like these blowouts that were just tantrums, throwing chairs.
Oh, I had a kid. He was actually a good friend of mine in school. That he would just like in the middle of stuff be like lose his shit. Yeah, he would be totally fine and then be like
throwing the chairs, like trying to attack the teachers, like punching them and stuff, and we'd all be like, here it goes again. Oh my God.
Get your popcorn.
Literally. Poor kid, because I remember at that point, I mean, we all, what can you do? We're kids. We're either like laughing or we're like, we don't want to sit next to you because you're kind of like crazy. And so, but that's probably, happens to so many kids, unfortunately, is that they like, hopefully now there are structures in schools now that like can recognize that and help kids with that. But like back, I mean, that was like what? That was like 98. I don't even know.
Yeah, it had to have been about
98 or 99
2000.
Like yeah. And so like back then it wasn't even something. So it just like goes to show like, that's crazy how like mental health is just something that's not even like, because I remember the teachers, he would
always swept under the rug.
He would just end up getting like in trouble.
They just send him into the hall.
And
then
stuff like
put
that.
him in ISS. Well, when we got into high school,
he would go to the principal's office and sit there for like hours, and then come back at some point and be chilled out, I guess. And then we'd be like, okay, I guess he's cool now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad. It really is. And thankfully at this point, she does kind of stand up for him. This is where she says like, stop referring to him as the boy. His name is Samuel. And I was like, oh snap, mama. Clap, clap.
Good for her. At least
she was like, I'm taking him out of this school.
Yeah.
Like,
to somewhere who can just like actually care for him.
Yeah.
Not be fucking assholes.
Which is a good thing. I think that was a moment in herself where she actually felt like, maybe because at least it's always different when you hear someone else say things. Like even when the sister said like, I can't stand being around your son. And she's like, how can you say that? And she's like, even you can't stand to be around your own son. But it's like even her, like, it's different when other people
It's
say
basically like, you can't pick on my sibling, but I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah. And
not always a great mentality to have.
But yeah, so
maybe you should just stand up for your kid all the time. But
it's for real, right? But there's a lot of little moments here, like even next where she goes to the grocery store, and that's where he's talking to that one lady, and that's when he tells her like he's over sharing.
I started laughing.
I'm like,
I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
I had to pause the movie because I was like, oh my.
That's the first bit where we get that he overshares about like him being like, hi, oh my dad died driving my mom.
He put, my dad is in the cemetery because they were like, we have to go home see daddy now, and they're like, where's your dad? And he was like, my dad's in the cemetery, and I was like, oh.
That's crazy.
I put hashtag backstory, love kids. They say out of pocket shit.
They do. They really
do.
Kids are versatile.
Savage again.
Because kids are just also savage. They tell you what it is. They're brutally honest. Like,
no,
because there's no
filter
at that point. They
don't understand
jaded,
social norms.
Yeah, it's just like they haven't, hopefully been exposed to like being conditioned in any way to like, well, I have to say this or that. They're just very like, I'm going to say what's on my mind.
I know exactly what happened. I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to put no fluff.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If a kid tells you you're ugly, you're ugly.
You're probably ugly.
Probably.
I know. That's why I'm always like, kids love to stare at me.
Why do you talk like a girl, bitch? Because I talk how I talk, and that's the way I wanted to buck up at kids before. And I'm like, and what? And what? Thank you, niece. No,
most of the time, most of them just like to. I think they're staring at my tattoos. Or when I had crazy colored hair, most of the time they would just stare at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is your problem?
But because they're just like observing what's on you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm like, please, like, tell your kid not to stare. But sometimes they're like infants and they just will like, they'll literally just stare at me for like 30 minutes. Like, oh God, every time if I'm sat next to a kid at dinner, they'll just like stare.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've had kids like completely turn around backwards in their seats and just look at me, and I'm like, what is your fucking problem? Turn around. Please control your little shit.
Well, when people stare at me, I usually just kind of like smile back at them or like do something like, hi. Like,
if it's a cute kid, I'll wave.
That like when like babies and like little kids like stare at you, it's because they think you're pretty. So
okay, good.
Oh, see, there you go. They're enamored.
They
can't put the words to say how like beautiful you are.
I'm
so
just
all
so
they can do is just
pretty.
All they can do is just stare at you. Usually, the next time you see a child doing that, what you do is you walk up to them and you say, "Take a picture. It lasts longer."
That's right. They'll
and
be
if
like,
you want to take a picture,
goo-goo.
it's gonna be $5.
I'm making money. Pay up, parents. I got Venmo.
Literally. You take the picture and then you airdrop it to their phone, and by that point, they've accepted the full terms.
That's right.
Yep. Anyways. So we have basically he gets sent home. She's gonna take him out of school. She's gonna find another place for him, but obviously she didn't know she was gonna do this. So is it gonna happen quickly? Probably not. All
of this, the whole time period is very short.
Yeah, I forgot. Actually, we got past that. We were talking about the lady in the market, and she's an oversharer. So we get her talking with the sister at the park, and this is where I'm kind of oh my God, why? And also too, kind of though, like that's on her and her sister. Y'all should have been watching this kid. Like,
oh yeah, I mean. He was like standing up. I was like, what is this little kid's core strength? How the hell did he stand up straight on top of a swing set? This was a rounded bar, I'm pretty sure. Most swing sets are because it's got to go beep, 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 boop, And so it's just like.
I love your sound effects.
How did he do that? I don't know.
They should have used you in the movie.
They should have.
For the Babadook.
That, I clicked. Oh my goodness. I clicked my screen and I looked at it only 8 minutes into the movie.
Oh, really?
It barely had even started.
Yeah, I was like, this movie does move really fast.
Yeah.
I feel
like so much was happening, but it was taking so long. But the reason I stopped was because she's messing with her jaw.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't, the first time I had watched it through, the only time I noticed her, actually, actively doing that was after the Babadook. So with this, I was like, oh.
This was already little baby.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a good little foreshadowing for what's to come in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little subtle baby hints.
Yeah.
That's smart.
And there's a lot of that that gets placed throughout the movie. Basically he climbs up on the top of the freaking thing and falls and whatever shatters.
I think he just busts his butt.
But I guess, right?
I mean, he didn't have to go to the hospital.
No, that's true.
They didn't even show him fall. So for some reason in my mind, I was like, oh, he just jumped down. Because children.
He probably did just jump, honestly.
On a child just don't break.
Really? That's true. They're very strong.
Oh. I thought they were really brittle.
You think I would have broken so many bones with the amount of trees I jumped out of when I was like
True.
8?
My brother fell out of a tree from like 30 feet up. I don't know how he's alive.
My nephews and nieces are really
She had a
resilient.
concussion.
The way, well, actually, yeah. No, I remember I've hurt myself.
But like
a lot
little
when I was a
kids
kid,
always
but,
like are the ones with broken arms. You don't see like full-on adults with broken arms walking around a lot.
But I feel like that's like a toddler. That's like a 2-year-old that fell like out of a crib and rolled over and like.
Oh no, I'm felt like in like elementary school.
Well,
yeah, there's lots of broken
kids
arms.
Who did sports.
Oh.
If you did a sport, you're probably broken.
I just remembered that monkey bars.
I feel that
was like how most people broke their arms.
But I mean, I get that. I'm sure there are it's true that there's so many
I do
kids
think
that
our
do
monkey
have
bars
broken
were
bones.
on like concrete though.
Have you had a broken bone?
No.
Okay.
Well, I've like fractured the bones in the side of my foot and tore all the ligaments.
No, they don't count.
They don't
That's
count.
a fracture.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess
I've
I've
never
broken my
anything.
wrists, like, but I never went to go get them fixed. We just kind of like reset them. Maybe they just like completely dislocate. I don't know, but I didn't want to be told I couldn't spin. So I didn't go to the doctor.
I've never broken
a bone. I just don't get injured, and if I do, I just don't tell coach.
I've also probably broken my well, no, it was just really badly jammed and I think fractured in there when it was stuck like this for a month.
Yeah.
But I also didn't go to the doctor because I didn't want to be told I couldn't spin. So.
Hey, I don't go to the doctor
like I said,
just
sports kids.
because I don't want to go to the doctor.
That's true. Color guard is a sport.
Who likes going to the doctor? That's not a fun time.
Long baby's pretty chill. I like him. I actually don't mind. My notes just put, Sam's going to get hurt. And I was like, he is a little weirdo. Huh?
I put, he's going to get hurt. Oh, look, he got hurt.
No, he was in the car screaming.
Yeah.
And
bloody
I literally
murder.
wrote, shut the fuck up, anti-child.
Yeah.
Like, the entire time I was like, this is like free birth control.
It really is. If you don't want a child,
I
just
was
watch
sitting
this
there
movie.
going, oh, God.
Well, and you know, the whole time, too, you guys, I also kind of thought about it afterwards a little bit. The whole time I thought about it afterwards.
She died immediately the
No,
next
like,
day.
what if also, too, like, she never even wanted him? And it was kind of like she was trying to please her husband. And it was like the husband wanted the baby more.
I mean, also, he was in a car accident
and then
while she was pregnant. He's got to have some sort of like issues.
That could be a thing. And then he died. And then it's just kind of like she's left with now the burden of having him and being the single mother. And
she's like, I would have gotten an abortion.
Or maybe she's living her worst nightmare as well. Or like having to now raise a child that she dreamed so much of having with this one person that she loves so much. And now that person's not in the picture anymore.
I feel like they did want a family.
Either way, it's like fucking traumatic. Yeah.
I feel like they did want it. Like, I mean, when you look at like the pictures of them and stuff, I feel like that was something they did want. But yeah, I feel like it is her worst nightmare, having to raise this kid now alone. And then, I mean, God, I can't imagine my partner dying the same day that my child's born. Like that's some very conflicting emotions.
Heavy. Yeah, I think you have to.
It's like when moms die in childbirth.
Accept. Yeah. And it's all your fault. JK. And so, yeah, we have them back at home now, and we have them talking to Mrs. Roach. I'm like, what kind of name?
First of all, she has my heart.
She's so sweet.
Honestly. Whenever she came over and she was like, I will do anything for you and Sam. I love you both.
I was so worried she was going to get fucking murdered. I was like, I swear to God, if Mrs. Roach is dead on this porch, I'm going to riot.
Oh, no. And then, quickly right after this, we get the dog. And that's when I literally wrote it down immediately. I was like, this dog is going to die.
Oh, yeah. I think I also put, oh, no, please don't kill a dog.
Bugsby.
Bugsy.
Bugsby?
Bugsby.
Bugsby. Okay, so this is a completely wild theory, but whenever
I've been wanting to touch it this whole time.
Okay, you can.
You only use that part?
Yeah.
And not that part?
Yeah.
I'm going to touch that part.
Okay.
Okay.
In my weird tooth gap. So
yes.
Whenever the Babadook shows up inside Mrs. Roach's house, whenever she can see him from across the way in there, I like kind of wanted, because of like the roaches crawling out of the wall and stuff, and with her name being Mrs. Roach, I was like, man, what if this bitch over there like casting spells and sending the Babadook on them? I kind of wanted
that would have been a whole
and just like
twist.
Playing this like super nice woman, and then the whole time she's like plaguing them with the Babadook, and that's why she kept turning up at all the right moments. That was just a fun theory that flashed through my head for a second.
It was Agatha all along,
and I was like, I loved this. But she was so sweet. Protect her at all costs.
She could have been, but no, she was just a really concerned and loving neighbor. And so yeah, they're I love how then we get them also eating dinner, and there's like so much space in between them. They're not even what are your notes? I see you over there.
I couldn't read it for a minute.
Me all the time.
I was like, yeah, and I thought it said dimmers. I was like,
what the hell's dimmer?
I was like, what's a silent dimmer?
Dimmer? I'd hardly lower. Dinner. Okay.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, did
What?
this
happened all very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay,
She had dinner and they were sitting at the table.
this isn't where the glass happened.
No.
though. Okay.
I think
That's way later.
Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
fuck,
no,
did I
no.
miss something?
She just made dinner, and it's the way that they're sitting very far from each other. You only get a quick shot of it, but I think it's just also to like show like their relationship, and then we have
because like with 2 kids or like with only 2 people in the house, you eat dinner on the couch.
True that.
You don't set the fucking table. Come on.
Whoever did.
Like
at my mom's, it was like 5 of us, and we'd all sit in the living room.
yeah, I mean that's how
same.
we never
on,
had a dining room table growing up.
Yeah, it
It's
depends.
Like,
Some
but at my
families.
dad's, we're at a table, so it just depends on the
Yeah,
dynamic.
I feel that. Yeah,
I eat like if I'm at home, I'll eat lunch and dinner over there. I always eat breakfast at my dining room
We're
table
also
though.
trash.
That's true.
You eat all your toast and jam.
Yeah, I eat
at
my
the
toast and
table.
jam at the
and
table.
jellies.
I don't want to get that on the couch.
The way I'm using this now is like an itchy, I'm scratching myself with
Do you want to not use one? No, it
I-
needs to be the
this
one
is
I've
fine.
used.
I
Okay.
really, it's fine. It makes it more special.
Okay, good.
And so yeah, we have then because earlier she was reading a child's book to him to like make him go to sleep, and now he's getting to pick a book, and we get the Mr. Babadook.
That's
book.
right.
It's
And we
first,
went through them checking
it's so
everything
thick,
again.
and it doesn't seem like it's that like much that's
And
in
then
there.
The fact that she looks at it and she's like, "What's this?" And he's like, "Well, it was on the shelf." And she's like, "Okay." I'm like,
Yeah,
I would
You don't question
never.
that
only
shit?
gives me more,
Especially when it's creepy as fuck
Yeah.
looking like that.
and only gives me more like into the theory that I feel like she did it, because it's
Yeah.
just like
Mhm.
who else is going to be like, oh, okay, this random book that only 2 of us live here, and you're a child, so where would this come from? Like, no, that's
Mhm.
weird.
That was
yeah,
like, who reads a random book like that? Like,
Yeah.
I've every book on my bookshelf, I know them.
yeah, because
Yeah.
you put them there.
And if a new one showed up, I would
That's
investigate
suspicious.
the entire home.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, who the fuck's in
Someone's
here?
in here.
Someone's
You're
in here.
next.
Yep.
You're next. Literally the last episode.
Exactly.
Literally. Someone is just in the house at all times. And so yeah, the book itself is just giving the creeps, because then she starts reading it, and this is when we get this really escalated, like, it's.
I have the whole poem here.
Do it. Please read it.
Okay.
Oh, wait, before you do, I just want to say this about the book. I said I love the art style, but before that, I said the kid is so freaking ugly. So.
Oh,
Yeah. In the
kid?
book or the actual kid?
The child, the real child.
Oh no.
And just everything about him, I
yeah,
was like,
he's a little unpleasing to look at sometimes. I'll give you that.
like at all times.
I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, but there's honestly though, good actor.
Yeah.
Because
Oh
the
my
way he makes me
gosh.
want to hate this character so much the whole
There
time,
was a scene,
I'm like,
and I was like, oh, he's working for his money.
He's getting that check, mama. He's getting that coin.
The art style honestly reminded me a lot of Edward Gorey and the like Gashly crumb tinnies, like the alphabet there. It kind of gave me those vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, okay. Exactly. I can
like,
see it being inspired by that,
It
probably.
just kept reminding me of a piece I had made at one point.
Mm.
Yeah.
She's so artful, a piece. I
A
love
is for
it.
Amy, who fell down the stairs.
Mm.
Yeah, he has this like, it's like these horrible like crimes
Yeah.
or like alphabets, and so basically all of it is.
I see it. Yeah.
C is for Clara, who wasted away, like kind of thing. L is for Leo, who swallowed some tacks.
Oh.
E
I
is
wanna
for
make my
Ernest, who
own.
choked on a peach.
That's cute.
How fun, right? It gives me that. It gives me that vibe.
But I see that. No, I can feel that.
Anyways,
Read the poem. Read
the
the poem.
poem.
The way this has turned into a weapon for me now.
Now you're gonna stab me anytime.
I just like it.
If it's a word, nope. Yep, that
If it's in
was
a
correct.
book.
If it's a word or it's in a look,
Yeah.
you can't get rid of the Babadook. If you're really a clever one and you know what it is to see, then you can make friends with the special one, a friend of you and me. His name is Mr. Babadook, and this is his book. A rumbling sound and 3 sharp knocks. Ba, 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 dook, dook, dook. That's right. That's when you'll know that he's around. You'll see him if you look. This is what he wears on top. He's funny, don't you think? See him in your room at night, and you won't sleep a wink. I'll soon take off my funny disguise. Take heed of what you've read. Read?
Read.
Red. And red, yeah, duh. And once you see what's underneath, you're going to wish you were dead.
Babadook, Dook. Literally.
Oh wait, was that even the? Okay, no, that was a different. Okay,
No, that was
There's
it.
multiple.
That was the book.
Yeah, but if the first one says if it's in a word or it's in a book, you can't get rid of the Babadook.
I remember it. I feel like
I thought it said look.
When it was panning, it said look. When she was like zooming in onto the words on the book, it said look.
Okay.
So someone's got to get that shit figured out on the internet.
I think I like looked it up and then someone said this, but then I looked at the comments and that was the one that I was like, no, this one seems most correct. So that's what I read. Okay, good.
But it was all correct for the most part.
Oh, that wasn't even all of it, but it says, I'll wager with you. I'll make you a bet. The more you deny, the stronger I get. This is what comes in later. You start to change when I get in, the Babadook growing right under your skin. Yeah. Oh, come see what's underneath.
Yeah, that's scary. And it's all like an allegory for just literally her.
Yeah.
Because she's literally the Babadook, basically, essentially. Well, and her depression, her demons, like all of that is what she's trying to combat. And it's basically what is making her be basically two different people. Because like throughout the movie, we kind of get this kind of like fake kind of deception that she is like a kind of trying to be a nurturing mom. But at the end, she kind of turns into who she really is, which is like where she's like going back and forth with him, like, get away from me. And then like, I'm so sorry. I love you. Let me make it up to you. Like what I'm sure he's dealing with on a daily basis. And we just see it in terms of like a monster movie, but that's really what he's dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy. And I'm like, no wonder he's like literally constantly terrified.
And every time he's saying like, please don't go away, please don't go away, I don't think it's not essentially like because the Babadook's going to take her. It's because she slips into these different versions of herself of like where she's either nice or not.
Yeah, he wants his mom, not this other version of her that's consumed by hatred and guilt, depression, like.
And worms.
Yeah, they feed it some little worms later.
And so we have them, all that shit happens with the book, and then like we're reading it, right? And so she obviously, because it's like gets to the point where it's like you're gonna wish you're dead, she's like, what the fuck is this book? And he's like, mommy, what is it?
Do they live?
And then we get like a close-up shot of her reading the other book, and he's just sobbing in her lap, and I'm just like, oh my god,
that
sucks.
Reading through it, and I'm just like, bitch, you just terrified him. Like,
she should have for that. He begged to have that one.
Yeah, but I would have put my foot down and been like, absolutely the fuck not. This is scary.
Yeah.
Well, I actually probably would have read that to my kid, but
well, no, right? Well, I wrote next, why aren't there more child horror books? I feel like that should be a thing. But also, like, I just also don't really understand why she didn't, like, if it's something she didn't know what it was, why she didn't do like a before starting to read it to him.
Thumbed through it a little bit. Yeah. And then the moment I got to empty pages at the end.
It took three pages to get dark. Like pretty fast.
Yeah. So. The like first one was like, oh, okay. And then it was like, oh no, this is kind of scary. And but like if the book has empty pages at the end, you get rid of that thing. Bad. That's never a good sign. What was that he's out there?
He's out there.
Didn't that one have empty pages at the end too? Yeah, because then later on it like someone scribbled in it. Yeah. See?
It's not a good sign.
Yeah. No, get rid of that thing.
And so
throw it out.
We have then her hiding the book, of course, because that's what you do. And she's watching some TV, trying to go to bed, I guess. And then we get like all those infomercials because I guess we're getting that. It's probably like, what, 2 or something in the morning?
Yeah. My favorite one that I actually wrote down, I put hee phone sex.
Yeah. Oh, literally.
That was, I just saw it and I was like,
of course. Nice. And that's very nostalgic.
Yeah, like it's very typical of what it was like to.
I don't even know. Is this nowadays? Like, when is this? Because actually,
I was really confused.
Do they still do that?
Yeah.
I don't know that they do. Are there?
So if you stay at some hotels and stuff, they'll like advertise that they've got the like adult channels. And then so if you like flip through them enough, you'll see that like at night, and typically they're locked. You have to like. Either enter a password or like pay for it.
Yeah, but I mean like just like flipping through a channel and then having at night like paid programming. Like is that still a thing? Like actual paid programming.
For like sex?
Yeah, or no, like I mean like you know how like like
early 2000s where you'd wake up and
like
they're
Sarah
selling you a knife.
And like them and all those. Yeah, like do those still happen? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't have cable.
Yeah, I don't either. I just
cable
stream.
In so long.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay, anyways, put a pin in it. We'll figure it out later.
People out of business by getting streaming services.
Yay, Shudder.
That's very true, actually. Yeah. Love Shudder. support us.
Oh, did we even say why Babadook became a queer icon?
No.
Okay, so Netflix accidentally put it into
the LGBT.
Yeah. And then everyone, like, before it was
fixed,
everyone was like, Babadook, queer icon. Like, they literally Netflix just fucked up. And that was how he became the queer icon.
Aww.
Sorry, that just, when we were talking about streaming services, that's what popped into my head.
The hold that Babadook has on the queer community, honestly, because I have a very good friend of mine who they're at like username, their tag like on Instagram is like Babajoosh.
Oh,
so like Babajoosh, yeah. So, so
I mean, it wasn't on like the most or one of the RuPaul like Drag Race ending one at the red carpet. Someone dressed up
as the Babadook. Yeah, I remember that a while back ago. But a lot of people do too, and it's also like a lot of drag queens do that sometimes as well. I say a lot, but you know, who knows? But I've seen it. I've seen it happen. It's out there. But yeah, this is where we have her getting to the vibrator scene, which was very awkward because we're just gonna cut to the chase. She starts doing the do with herself, and the little boy walks in because he's having a nightmare, right, or something. He hears something, he sees something.
He wakes up and his closet's wide open.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
But at first I was like, no way he hears that.
No.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I know some of them sound like a jackhammer. That one's pretty quiet.
Yeah, the way it looks like an old phone, it looked weird to me.
I thought it was like
it looks like just like a massager. Or something.
Yeah, a massager. Mm-hmm. Like that one looked very, or an old phone. Yeah,
right.
Like one that you'd pick up that
like on a cord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not a dial, not one that you have to spin the circle, but like
the ones on like the wall.
Yeah.
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 It kind of looked like that with a tapered handle.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's the I don't know, maybe it depends on your range of motion that you want.
But yeah, we have this whole scene, and obviously he comes in and he walks in on her, and she kind of freaks out a little bit, and she's like, what's going on? And he's like, the Babadook is in my room. She's like, oh God, you're making this up. Like, it's just a book. Like, it's not real. And then she just puts him next to her and is like,
I'm like, did you have time to turn off the vibrator?
Probably not.
I'm like, is it just going
I know.
in between y'all?
Are her hands still juicy? Like, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because that one was so slick.
I don't know.
I mean, if she was keeping it external, and she didn't actually, I mean, she did have to get, she must have been wet.
That was very weird. Very weird indeed.
I mean, I thought the scene itself, I was like, that sucks to be interrupted, but I was just I mean,
because obviously, I don't feel like she's done that in a while. And I feel like she was really enjoying herself. She
was literally about to climax. And I'm like, that's the worst. And then, I mean, it's like that is what masturbation looks like a lot of the time. So
yeah, like
for females, because we don't have to really like clean up. I mean, but.
Well, no, I mean, it's the same thing. Ish. It's not that different. I mean, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Under the bed.
I guess boys could also. I mean,
I don't know. That's true. I guess
sometimes I do it in the bed. Most of the time it's the shower.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's stuff you didn't know.
Next time I go over to your place, I'm gonna look at it a little differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I always have to make sure that I put them in the cabinet before. I'm pretty sure I have left one out before when someone went up there, and I was like, please, because then I feel like I never snoop in someone's house if their shower curtain is closed and like it is not my grandma. Yeah, I leave it closed. I don't go through their cabinets.
You know what you could find, and you might never look at that person the same.
Exactly, and I was like, there was one time I had. They're all purple. I don't know why. That's just like the standard color. And I was probably one of the biggest ones. And it was just fucking sitting there on my like little tub counter. And then I sent someone up there and I was like, oh my God, I swear to God, if she pulls that back, it was like.
And it was there?
It was up there. I mean, I know it was. I had to put it up afterwards, but I don't know if she saw it and maybe she was just being nice and didn't tell me.
At the end of the day, let's normalize masturbation. It's okay. It's natural. You're not going to hell for it.
Man, the way that it took me years to figure that out. To get over that
guilt.
Oh, God. Every time I would masturbate, I would pray afterwards.
That's normal. A lot of people feel guilty after masturbating.
Because, I mean...
it feels like you're doing something wrong.
Well, and growing up, they would tell you, like,
it's wrong.
You shouldn't do
immoral.
that. Yeah. That means that you're wanting to have sex. And
I'm like, it's just natural.
It's literally,
It's actually, I think, healthy for you. Science has proved that you have to do it. Like, well, you don't have to do anything. You whatever. But, like, it helps, whatever. It
releases endorphins in your brain.
Yeah.
It's an aphrodisiac.
It's psychosomatic. And so I don't
Makes
even
you feel good.
Correct usage of that. But anyways, so yeah, we have her Yeah, that's very weird. And so, anyways, she's under the bed sheets actually too, because does she hear something? She hears something, right?
Yeah.
So, sorry.
No, go for it.
I said, Bestie gets no sleep ever because she's just laying there with him and she's just like not doing anything. She's just looking. And then all of a sudden she hears something in the hallway and it's like creaking. And she sits up and she looks at it and she's just like, not my problem. Lays back
she
down.
heard 3 knocks too. There were 3 knocks. Yeah.
Oh.
They were like faint ones down the hall. And I was like, bitch, that was 3 knocks. He literally just said like, but 3 knocks, blah, 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 Babadook, dook. And it's like, bitch, that's 3 knocks.
I didn't hear the knocks.
She just like straight up hides under the covers. I was like,
yeah.
You're not going to go look? Like,
see, that's why you would die.
And then I put JK, I would too.
Yeah.
No,
I would also
like,
hide under the covers.
Literally, like, all the last 2 episodes I listened to of you guys just like, well, if I heard something in my house, I would go investigate. I was like, why?
Well, it depends on if it's upstairs and I'm home alone and I know someone's there, I ain't going to go. And I know no one's there, I'm not going to go look.
It depends.
If I came home and my house, my door was open, I always call someone because they're going to do so much for me through the phone if I die.
They're wearing blue shoes. They're tall. You got to yell out like like Taken, you know? Mm-hmm. You got to describe them.
If I came home and my house was like wide open, like...
You would just leave.
Yeah.
You're so smart.
The only time that I haven't done that was it was like bright daylight and I got home straight from school and I like saw the garage open and I was like, oh my God, did I leave the garage open?
All day.
And I was freaking out and I went to close it and like something was in the way and I was like, oh my God, I left the garage open. And then I get out there and my dad's in the backyard and I was like, I'm a good person.
I didn't fuck up.
Yeah.
It was my dad.
Sometimes and so it's just...
Yeah.
Like any other time, like if it's at night, I'll just stay in my car and I'll like call my parents and be like, "Hey, are we home? Like, is anybody here?"
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Anyways.
And so we had all of the stuff happening, right? It was very weird. She's under the sheets. She got scared because she heard the knocks. And so then we have what's his face? We have Samuel, the boy, waking her up because he's like, Mom, it's 9 o'clock. And obviously she's like late for work or whatever. And
I would have been like pissed if my kid didn't wake me up and was just like going around doing their business and been like, you don't fucking wake me up.
Now, like 2 hours later, yeah.
Yeah.
And so she was
goddamn
calling in.
Self-sufficient kid.
She's calling in, obviously, and she's like, oh, sorry, he was sick, you know, whatever. You're blaming it on him being sick, obviously, as one would, because that's what you do.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, you have to make up an excuse.
Kitty was sick a lot.
You can't just say, oh, I was asleep. No, something happened. I wanted to be there because I really wanted to be there, but I couldn't. You know, so she had to sell it. And so anyways, we have her at work now and she's doing bingo?
Yeah.
With the little guests or whatever. Oh, and she left him with her sister, with Claire. And so we have her at work and then we have Robbie, right, flirting with her.
Yeah, this is where I put, oh, okay, maybe he's not a dick.
Yeah, he was being very sweet. Very sweet.
And he offers to take the rest of her shift.
Yeah, so that because he thinks that her son is sick.
Yeah.
And so he was like, you should go take care of that. And so, yeah. But no, she ends up like going to a mall. Ish. It looked like it, right?
It looked like a mall to me.
Yeah.
I just put, good job for her. Get some quiet time.
She got some ice cream.
Yeah, I said, yes, queen.
Yeah.
Time is so important.
It is. But it's the way that poor thing didn't even like get to enjoy that because then she I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. She ends up going to the parking garage and starts like watching people make out.
Yeah, this is where I put, damn, she needs to get laid.
Yeah, really though. But it's only literally for like 10 seconds, and then she notices that
she's
phone,
missed 10 calls.
Yeah, she's missed calls, which honestly it gives me also the vibe of like she is losing track of like time, like because she's not getting any sleep, so she's like having lapses of times where she's not really being coherent.
Yeah, and I've like
zoned out
with someone with like, you know, I have lost track of time before. Not like I just like
years.
Oh, like yeah, no, but I have had like several like larger chunks of time, like to like 30 minutes or something, where I'm like, I don't know what the fuck just happened. Well, but like I'm in a different spot. Like I disassociated.
I mean, I think we all that. I mean, this is kind of bad too. I know I'm not the only one. Like when you disassociate driving, like it's like on the things that you like when you're like on your drive home and you kind of like, you know, don't even realize that you got from point A to like point B and you're like, oh, I'm here already.
Yeah.
I didn't even, you know,
kind of thing.
And that's why you guys have been in so many accidents. All right.
No.
I am clocked out when I get behind that wheel. Everybody look out. Okay. And so anyways, we have
she gets to Aunt Claire's house, shows up, and basically
Claire is freaking out.
Yeah, she's holding a crying Ruby, and poor fucking Samuel's just sitting on the pavement, like on the what's that called, a driveway.
The driveway.
By himself, just like being quiet.
Yeah.
And then Ruby's like fucking screaming, and she's like, he kept talking about his Babadook.
Yeah, Claire. And so then she says it's rubbish, and that's whenever he's like, it's not rubbish, it's real. And then she's like, don't talk to your Aunt Claire like that. And then he throws a little firework. Yeah, which
like,
is really
magic.
Cool, like little poppers. And so and of course she's like on the way home, where did you get these from? And he's like, you bought them for me on the internet. I'm like, oh my god,
no more internet.
Literally, I'm just like, she canceled the internet. Literally, everybody, you guys,
no
Twitter,
internet.
Instagram, all of y'all. You're Google, you're done. You're canceled.
According to mom. What's her name? Amelia?
Yeah. Which is too close to my mom's name. Amalia.
Oh, it is.
Which is also very close, though, to Doja's cat name, which is Amala. So I'm back to happy, so it's fine.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. And so anyways.
We have an Amelia.
Do we?
Oh, we do.
Aww.
On guard. Yeah.
Not one of your flag mates.
Yeah.
Color guard mates. What do you call it? What do you call it?
Guard.
Teammates?
Yeah, teammate. Yeah.
Teammate? Yeah.
Team.
And so anyways.
She is sweet. I like her.
Shout out.
And her mom.
I hope you're listening. And so we have them. Then she's like, all right, your birthday's canceled, because she's like pissed off.
Yeah.
So and I'm like, isn't it always canceled? But okay.
Yeah.
Or it's just never on the day.
That was just her way of saying like, we're not going to have one because she was already going to have to basically
do it on her own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now this was just her way of like being like, well, this is a reason I get to cancel it.
We don't have to deal with it. Yeah.
Since you're not having joint one this year.
Yeah. Then we cut to like him having a little magic show in front of his dad's picture.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mom and dad, and I was like, oh shit.
But I kind of was like, aw.
I know, and he was like, I'm gonna protect mom, and I was like, he's a real sweet kid. And then he sets off some fireworks in the house. And I'm like, okay.
And then also like preludes to like why the basement is such a like, the Babadook is in there. That's where he resides, because that's where all of dad's things are.
Yeah. I wrote down, I said that the little boy is grieving somebody who he never met. It's like, that's his dad. And I mean, she's grieving like all these memories she has. But like, as somebody who's like, he has no idea who this person is, but he's such a big part of his life.
Yeah.
And so like, that's literally. Like but he performs to him every night type of thing.
That's crazy.
Which is so sad.
And
it's
in that first scene where he's sawing stuff, he's in the basement. And you see that he's like snuck down there a lot.
It's tragic, honestly, because he's literally trying to like feel close to his dad as well.
Have a connection.
Trying to feel that connection hurts his mom because she wants nothing to like, it's the way she even tells Claire at that later point where she's like, I don't talk about it, and so I'm over him. And that's not her being over it. It's her avoiding the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
And that any mention of him, like it literally
makes her spiral.
Triggers all over again.
And like when they're yelling at each other in this scene, he says, you won't let me have a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, he's my father, you don't. He's like, he's my father, you don't own him.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like,
it's crazy. And we get his little magic is treacherous.
Yeah. Which we find out where he gets that from later.
Yeah. And then we have Robbie coming again, being very sweet, trying to be like, oh, brought him a little game board and was like, I got these when I was sick. Or a model plane, you're right. My mom would get these for me when I was sick, and homeboy wasn't straight up just
He's like, I'm not sick.
And that's the way the mom was just like, oh shit. So then to like not look like she's caught in a lie, she just kind of goes off on him, and then he goes off on her, and then Robbie's just like,
and he just dips, and you never see him again.
Yeah, because who?
I thought he would have like more of a play.
Me too. I kind of thought maybe he'd jump in, but no, he's like out of there. She's just left with the flowers.
He's like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, but
caught her in her little white lie though.
And then she gets to putting up all of Dad's shit and stuff, and it's the
I
way
feel
that,
like. Oh, sorry.
No, go for it. Yeah.
I do feel like a lot of her issue too is that she really does blame Samuel, and so like in that instance where she didn't make up, and she didn't take credit for what she did and like how she left work and stuff. She blamed being
everything
late on Samuel. Yep. And then blamed the reason why she didn't come to work, or like why she needed the rest of her shift covered, was because he was being a disrespectful little kid. And she
blamed everything on him. Even like, your Aunt Claire doesn't want to talk to us because of you.
Yeah.
Like, not because of her.
At no point does she take responsibility until the end. And like this whole time, he really is just trying to be like a sweet fucking kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just being a kid, but he's severely lacking some attention and has gotten terrible people. I mean, things just say terrible things to him.
Yeah.
And so, no wonder he's the way he fucking is. But clearly, I mean, a lot of the times he's trying to be pretty fucking smart. Like, I mean, self-sufficient. Like, he's telling his mom.
Even at the end, like when we get their kind of interaction with each other, you can tell like they're finally probably going to get to a place where they're going to be okay. Yeah. But yeah, because after that, she starts cooking soup for him, or she's cooking soup for him while she's getting all this cleaned up, and then when they're eating it, there's glass in her soup, which I also never really. Did she put it in her own soup?
I don't know.
Because that would be the only explanation.
I'm wondering if she maybe was hoping that bowl was for him.
Oh, that's dark. Okay, I like that better. She acts,
Well, I mean, I was like, she considered killing him.
Like in a fugue state. And that's that's like thematic throughout the whole movie, is like we hear like a mom killing her child because they drove her crazy or whatever. So that might be like a failed attempt.
Yeah. Ended up being in her.
Coincidentally. Yeah.
And while she was down in the basement, that's also where we get the suit hanging on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of, I feel like, is
indicative of why the Babadook is in a suit.
And in the top hat, because it was hanging up, he was clearly a musician. And so that looked like a very, like, standard kind of like jazz
musician type of vibes.
And it was hanging there on the wall, and it had a very similar shape because, like, the coat was like hung up. It looked no neck. The Babadook doesn't really have a neck. It's like,
arms and head, shoulders.
And I feel like that was the first, like, that moment where she looked at that was how she became to like also visualize, and that like that was the first, like, it became real. It's in the house. Her first, like, almost seeing it.
Definitely hated how the shoes were sitting underneath it.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, because they weren't. It wasn't like they were like right next
One
to
was
each
like
other
kind of
sitting. Yeah, it looked like the thing was dancing.
Yeah.
Like the way
and
like
even the way that the arm was moved like that.
And like one of the pant legs was up too. So I was just
not
like,
a fan.
It's weird.
It was creepy as fuck.
It was very creepy.
Like,
it adds to the nuance of like how creepy the whole air around what the Babadook is at this point in the movie, because it's still a monster at this point to us, as opposed to like what we find out at the end. And even then, that's always a monster. But
yes.
And so after that, we have I got lost in my.
She basically says like, go sit on the TV, or go sit on the TV,
because he wants to. He's gonna go watch The Magician, right?
Yeah, she tells him she's gonna make something else. Go watch TV in the meantime, and then that's where we get the magic spiel and stuff. But then you don't really see, I guess, her give them more food, because my next note just says, "Oh fuck," not the picture where she goes up. She sees like him running, and then she goes into the room and she sees the scribbled out
picture of her and her husband defaced. Yeah, which obviously sent her like in
which I wonder who did it.
Probably her.
Yeah,
like it has to be her.
And then she just blamed it on him again. That's what I feel
wanting
like,
a reason to maybe have to take out like something on him.
Because then, I mean, she was quite literally trying to erase his memory. And his whole face was blacked out. Hers wasn't. She just had like
something.
She had like a smile, right? It looked like the Babadook.
The reason that I think it was the son who did it is because like when she held that picture, like it was so special to her. And then the fact that like she refuses to go down into the basement, but like, and he has no problem with it. And so, and the way that he ran from it, and like he didn't like take it with him or something because he knew like would upset her. Like, and like I like lots of kids will do that. They'll scribble out people they like. I did that in a yearbook once to a guy I had a crush on who was mean to me one day.
Yeah, I mean, I have many of people scribbled out in my yearbooks.
Like, and the way that her face looked, it looked like he just like drew like a mustache on her and like pointy eyebrows. It looked like a child.
But then he did seem to want to have a dad. Yeah. So I feel like maybe he wouldn't. I don't know.
I can see him also. I think especially when you mentioned and touched on the fact that she really like held that picture.
Was he in there when she picked it up though?
I don't see that. I mean,
she probably has done it multiple times.
Yeah, and I can see the way that she's also like, do not touch these things. These are dad's things. These are my things. And I think that in spite of that, maybe he could have retaliated in that way. Yeah. Because he knew it would hurt her. And to like, get
no matter how much he wants that dad and how much he loves his mom, it's just like at some point you just fight back.
And maybe he was jealous too of the amount of love that she gives to this picture, but that she doesn't give to him.
Yeah, and she's like, he's like, I'm a physical item.
She's telling him to go eat shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, fucking Christ, when she said that.
Yeah, and so they get into a little altercation because then he like pushes her and he's like, do you want to die? And he's like, basically, literally, he's like, ready. I'm going to kill the Babadook. And then he's telling her like,
he's a brave little kid.
Don't let it in, don't let the Babadook in. And so I think at that point too, essentially, I think he's asking her like, do not like go into those states where you like become this other person. Yeah.
Because you will die if this keeps up, kind of thing.
But she ends up.
Oh, boy's smart.
She throws away the book at that point, right? After that.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, because the wardrobe like knocked itself over, and this was when I was like, "Girl, he's clearly seeing something. Like this kid is like cowering, and there's no way this motherfucker knocked that whole ass wardrobe over." Like,
I get what you mean. He's a little kid. He's a 6-year-old.
And like, if it is an antique at all, that shit is solid. No way in hell a 6-year-old knocked over a wardrobe. Yeah, no, not possible. And so it's just like, something else is here. And then she sees the book again, and then she just tears it up, and I was like, I don't know what good that's gonna do.
The art in the second half of the book was just like
beautiful.
Yeah, but like it was also like
terrifying.
Daunting, like the part with the dog. I'm so sorry when that happened. Wait,
the dog.
Yeah.
When I was reading the book, like with her, I was like, is she pulling the interactive tabs?
I know. I was like, how is this happening?
I was like, is it just doing it on its own?
Especially when she slits her throat and the blood pours, and I was like, don't you have to kind of go like, bleep?
Yeah.
Exactly. Because like, and the dog one, like with the one where she's strangling her child's neck, she keeps, it's like the only way to have it like wobble, like you have to keep pulling it.
I think it's just more stylized maybe, but she probably was doing that.
I imagine also it's probably her hands are shaking too.
I could see that.
But yes.
It just made me laugh a little bit because I was like, there's no way that this, like, obviously it's supposed to be like a ghost doing it. But.
And then after that, and then, I mean, we still get the vibes again that it's a monster or paranormal because after that, she hears like footsteps or something, right?
Yeah,
when she's laying in bed with him.
Footsteps and the electrical, like the lights are constantly, at this point, there's been so many flickers and stuff that have happened that I'm like, girl, you have had way too many electrical issues.
That's bad energy though too, because bad energy can mess with electrical currents.
Yeah. And so she literally hears something in her house though. Yeah. And then then I think, does it cut to Ruby?
Oh wait, sorry. I just want to say something about the music really quick.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So when she's ripping, I think it's at this part because I'm trying to piece it all together. My notes are so bad. I think after she rips up the book and she goes outside and she throws it away, I think he sees her doing that and the music the whole time, and then it cuts off right when she turns and sees him. And like, I loved that about this movie. Like, there'd be such like the music would be like happening, and then all of a sudden just silence.
That's cut out. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, something's happening.
It's almost like when also there are so many times too where like I've had things happen and like there was one probably the weirdest thing that ever, I mean, I don't know, because I've been like in different places, but then there was one time where I was washing my face in the shower and I like was listening to music and was singing along, and the next thing I knew the song was over and I like came to because I had dropped the face wash onto the floor. I lost a solid 3 minutes in my shower. I don't know. It was like literally, it was like, yeah. And it was like in my head, you know, there was a bunch of like loud. My head's always like, I mean, especially when I'm having really bad days, it's just constant screaming.
Chatter in there.
Like my head will get so loud.
Yeah.
And then in moments like that, it just like,
well, you're disassociating because you don't want to hear the loudness, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it could be indicative of that. Like quite literally.
Literal same thing.
Yeah.
That's happening. Yeah. That a lot of people go through. And that's why it can be used in this movie. And it's so like, it's so, what's that word? Relatable. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a nice little way to tuck it in.
Yeah. And then, but you were right. We were heading towards. They're going to Ruby's party at this point.
Yeah.
It's a shit show of a party.
My notes always correct. It says, "Shut the duck up, little brat, Ruby. These ducking women."
Yeah. And so basically, we get kind of that scene where we have like the friends of Claire, who are all kind of these, you can tell, kind of stuck up, kind of type women, like Stepford Wives, like very much about like you know, status and about money and like what, you know, looking good in front of other people. And honestly, she ain't looking too good.
Not a hair out of place.
And so they are you know, essentially like reading her in a way, like the way but like because they feel like they're being like supportive, I guess, and asking her questions.
I have a friend who works with disadvantaged women.
That made me so mad.
I would have like thrown my drink in her face.
Yeah.
I was like, what makes her disadvantaged?
She's just a single mom.
She's just going through things.
Doing her great job. Like, she's
because it's putting a negative connotation on her, and it's like
it's putting a negative connotation on single moms, widowed women.
Yeah. All of the above, literally. And so and then of
thinking
course
that a woman can't survive on her own,
which also is a thing that does really happen. Like, I mean,
all the time.
Not saying that like men don't have to deal with like stigmas about it too, but like when somebody mentioned it earlier about like how a lot of women will die during childbirth and the husband be left with this baby, and all these men are like, not men, but people will come up to them and be like, "You're so brave for taking care of this child. You're doing such a great job." Yeah. But then for a woman in her position, it's your job. You signed up for this.
You're the natural caregiver. Kind of thing, which then is and also
because I feel like when someone sees a dad doing something good, right, and especially in that sense, he's gonna get praise. He's gonna get like, oh, you were doing so well. Whereas if they see the mom doing the same thing, it's like expected.
He could literally just be pushing a stroller, and they were like, oh my god, he's such a good dad.
Yeah, which I mean, he is, but like, it's a different level of like, you know.
It's probably the one time he's touched a stroller.
Yeah.
All men are horrible dads.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Remember to text that.
I will.
All right, now we're here, and so we have the party at Ruby's, and they're all being just really nasty to her, and I feel like she's better off without being there. But of course, she stays and probably sits through that awkward like 2 hours of whatever they've been through that we don't get to see. And obviously, the kids are outside playing only because she had to like forcibly remove him from her because he was like hanging on to her.
And Samuel was hiding in the treehouse by himself. And fucking Ruby comes up there and was like, this is my treehouse.
This is my treehouse. You need to get out. I don't want weirdos in my treehouse. So she's
it's like, go play with your fucking friends, weirdo.
Yeah, but you know,
he can sit up there.
She's antagonizing him.
Yeah.
He literally says, I'm not hurting anybody.
Yeah, he does. And it's like, this poor kid, he's like, why am I getting yelled at again? I'm literally just sitting in a corner by myself.
Yeah.
And then someone came to yell at him.
Literally.
But I love that as he's getting mad, he was like, the Babadook would eat your mom for breakfast.
And rip her arm off.
I was like, damn.
When the aunt and his mom are talking and she's going off on her and being like, oh, well, we don't come over to your house because I don't like your son. And I'm like, you have beef with a child?
Yeah, you're a grown-ass adult
all the time.
And you don't like
I'm sorry. I will be the first one. I have beef with children all the time.
But I don't think
but
I would.
I get what you mean.
Like,
that's also petty. That is your nephew.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've got beef with my little cousin because she stole my birthday, but I'm still gonna visit her.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel that.
It's
like
family.
no matter how much I dislike someone's kid, I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna go over to your house because I don't like your fucking child.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you to,
especially if it was my brother.
No, I'm just kidding.
Like if it was my sibling, I would still go over.
Like,
And it makes me wonder, like, what was their dynamic like prior her husband?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure already it's
ostracized.
Claire's a bitch.
Because she even mentioned, Amelia. She even mentioned she's like, every time I come here, I ask you how you are.
Yeah.
I ask about you. You never ask about me.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, yeah, I do. And she's like, no, you don't. I'm actively telling you this.
Mm-hmm.
You need to listen.
And whenever she does try to reach out to her later on, saying that she thinks someone's stalking them,
she says,
well,
well, if you really
think
if you're really worried about it, call the police.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't want to hear it.
She literally, and she's like, I have to go. Like, it was a bother to her.
It's like the way that at times Amelia treats Samuel is the way that Claire treats Amelia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's all kind of cyclical.
Yeah.
And so, so Sam gets pissed off at fucking Ruby, rightfully so, and pushes her, kind of pushes her out of the treehouse. And she falls down.
She deserved it.
Yeah. 2 things to say about what happened with Ruby. One, kids don't say things out of pocket like that unless they're hearing it from their parents.
Yeah.
So
she had heard all that.
That means, like, it wasn't just Claire talking smack to Amelia every day. She would
say
it
those
every
things
day at
to
home.
Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so Ruby was just repeating.
Oh, that's so true.
And then the second one made me laugh because Ruby got pushed like backwards, and the fact that she lands on her face, she turned around. That's on her.
Yeah. She was milking the attention.
And then the fact that she didn't put her arms out, just who falls face first
onto their own head. Yeah.
A little baby.
Maybe she did a full backflip. Yeah. No, she landed with her feet towards the house still. So that would be the case. Yeah.
Well, even the way that her mom like picks her up and like handles her, she's probably also like a pretty like babied, spoiled.
Oh yeah. That kid has a silver spoon in her mouth.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that phrase means.
Yeah, of course, like the mom, Amelia freaks out, Claire freaks out, everybody's freaking out, you know, because, I mean, it is a spectacle and it's at the birthday party. So, of course, then Claire goes and attends to little Ruby and then yells at Amelia, like, to watch the kids, unless she wants someone else to get hurt.
Yeah.
And then we have them in the car, obviously leaving this, and she's, like, you know, yelling at him, he's yelling at her. And then we have this whole scene with the Babadook in the car.
Yeah.
Right? Because then he sees him, but nothing's there that we can see, but he sees him.
He sees him. He clearly sees something.
Or even at that, it's just like a very visceral reaction to like the beef that they're having right now.
Yeah.
Like,
because he seizes.
He's literally, he goes into a panic attack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's full on having like, it looked
like a seizure. Yeah. But it's like a muscle fit. It's like when all your, like you get so like, your body's
his muscles seized.
Yeah,
up.
that like yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I just put damn he seized.
Yeah.
So,
but not like a seizure. Like he's just like his and so he is then they go to the hospital because like, you know, obviously
clearly
some shit happened and the doctor's, you know, taking blood, but they're going to take some tests. And it's the way at this point, she's just like, can you please just give me some like pills or something for him to like go to sleep? Cause like we haven't gotten sleep at all. And you can tell that the doctor's kind of probably like concerned, like I should be calling CPS
like,
right now.
Most parents are totally against this unless it's really bad.
Mm-hmm,
and she was like, it's really bad.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that she didn't ask anything for herself. She hasn't been able to sleep either.
I just figured, well, I mean, I feel like she would be able to sleep if he wasn't constantly interrupting it,
but
which because she did end up.
I mean, she only did it like once though. Yeah. After that, she couldn't sleep.
Yeah. That one time that she did good sleep. Yeah.
She gets good sleep after this one night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which she gives him the pills. They end up going home. He ends up falling asleep. We get like this whole little scene of her waking up.
That made me so mad the way that she did that. He goes, I love you. And she goes, me too. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
It's I love you too.
Yeah. Not
it's
me
like
too.
When someone says, I know.
Those are fighting words.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
mm-hmm. But yeah, no. We have all that happening. Then we have them at the she gives them this. Oh, that's right. My bad. They're talking in the bed, and that's whenever she gives them the medicine. And I love when he was like, "Why don't people like me?" And I'm like, I could bring out a whole list of reasons, but we're not gonna go there.
I know. I was like, but that's so sad for a 6-year-old to be asking. Like, oh, geez.
They shouldn't have to ask that. And so, anyways, he's basically.
I was scared that they were gonna die if they couldn't wake up and like get away from the Babadook. Like, I was like, oh shit, it's gonna get them. He's gonna gobble them right up in his sleep.
Well, I was thinking like also I was thinking she's gonna kill him.
Oh
like,
yeah, that too.
Well, because she's
at some point I feel like she possibly was maybe giving him too much medication too.
Yeah, he seemed drugged out throughout the day. Because then
and
like
then he
actually
starts
the next
feeling sick.
Then she falls asleep. And she sleeps good, and then the next morning when she wakes up at like 11 or after 11, she gets those knocks on the door, and that's whenever
it was 3 knocks.
3 knocks.
I put, bitch, that is a Babadook.
Looks and there's not. She doesn't see anything, but then she gets those louder knocks, and then she sees the book on the ground, and it's back, and it's like all pieced together.
And the way the second knock was so violent, oh, it's just like, do.
And that's when we see that it shows her like killing Samuel, and then like all of that shit, and it's like a whole little quick montage scene, and then we have her. Then that's whenever she throws it out, right, to go burn it right after that, and then she's trying to call Claire, and that's whenever Claire is like. You know, because at this point she thinks like we have a stalker after us. We have someone that's, you know, trying to get to us, and she's trying to tell Claire. But then Claire's like, if you're so worried about it, then just call the police. And I'm like, okay.
So then she does go to the police, but that's like so sad that, you know, even the one person she feels like she can turn to at all is just dismissing her. Yeah. Because that is like, that's terrifying. I mean, especially when you are in you're like essentially sobered state of mind there, and you're, you know, coherent, and then you're having that happen to you. I would be terrified.
The thing is that she's not though, right?
Well, but in that moment, like she doesn't realize that it was potentially her doing it. Gotcha. She thinks it is an outside force, and so like to be that terrified and stuff, but and have that happen to you.
She actually looks down at her hand and is like
covered in
whatever. I don't know the ink. I don't know.
Or like the ash.
Yeah, that's right. And so and then of course the cops were like kind of laughing at her for a minute, but obviously they think she's crazy, and it's the way that she like backs
cops
up.
Being fucking assholes.
The way she backs away.
Oh wait, right after she hangs up with her sister though, the phone calls again. That's right. Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, Claire," and then it's. There's not an answer, and then
it's the Babadook.
Yeah, doing it's the Babadook.
Yeah, and he does his name.
You did it better earlier.
I was like, why does he sound like that? Like there was just something about his voice. It wasn't like creepy.
It was creepy for me.
No, it was creepy.
For me, it wasn't like creepy or uncomfortable. I was just like, he has got a sore throat.
Boy needs a cough drop.
Literally lozenge, Ricola. Yeah, literally. But he does his little Babadook. Dook. I feel like that was a good one. Okay. And then, and of course, that's whenever she goes to police, they think she's fucking crazy. And obviously, the one evidence, but I mean, also too, like the one evidence that she did have to provide, she's like, I burned it, so they're gonna look at her like, well, we can't really help you.
Yeah.
And so and then
but they could have at least done something.
Oh yeah.
They could have sent like a car to case the house or something.
Pretended to be helpful.
Yeah.
In real life, I've heard so many stories. Yeah, they want to do that. Like. Cops, if you
cops,
nothing happens.
They can't really help you.
Yeah,
cops can't help you until the thing's already happened.
Pretty much.
Like so
But also in the background at the cops when she's at the police station, the reason she starts backing up, she sees Babadook.
Oh, that's right. He is there in the background.
And then she looks at all the cops, and they're all just looking at her, and the way they're looking at her, I was like,
it doesn't.
Some judgmental motherfuckers.
Very much so. And so and then we have her at home, and I think she's trying to clean up or something, but that's when all the bugs are like coming out from everywhere. One falls on her shoulder and she's freaking out, and then she notices that they're coming from behind like the refrigerator, and she gets to move it, and she gets picking at it, and all those bugs she peels away at it, and there's a hole, and that's the way all the bugs start coming out. I'm like, and this is demonic or supernatural or just crazy like in your mind, because bugs do not come towards light. Bugs go away from light.
Yeah. Like cockroaches especially scatter the moment a light bulb is turned on.
Yeah, they would not be coming towards it.
They would be behind the fridge. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, they wouldn't be like, let me come into the light. Yeah. That means certain death.
Literally. And then they go on their backs and they lay up. But anyways.
But then at that point,
they're the community
like
services
CPS,
people. It's
almost.
like CPS basically, I think. And they come knock on the door, especially, of course it's going to happen at this time where she's like got the place a mess. There's like bugs everywhere.
She's like, I'm trying to clean.
Yeah.
Which, like, clearly, thankfully, she did, like, have her cleaning gloves on and stuff. But it kind of reminded me of, like, that, what is it? Out damn spot. Like, where they're trying to wash the blood off their hands. What is that? Is that, like, Macbeth?
I'm not sure.
There's
Something?
so many movies.
Yeah, there's so many one where the metaphorical blood is on her hands.
Okay.
And so I feel like that's kind of what the
when they catch
hole
you
in the wall
red-handed
is. Yeah.
Yeah. I see it. Yeah, for sure. And then we have them basically wanting to investigate and talk to Sam, but he's like so drugged out, and he's like, I'm sorry, I'm so sleepy because
really tired from all the drugs my mom gave me.
Yeah.
And they're like,
oh God. And she's just like, they're not
from
drugs.
the doctor.
She says they're tranquilizers too from the doctor because he had a fit yesterday. I'm like, that's not what you want to say.
Also not a great.
Yeah.
Should be like, they're from the doctor. There was,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a tranquilizer. I mean, that's what it is, but.
Yeah. I think also a different place because she also said fit. Like, they're in the UK?
Yeah.
I think, right? So.
Oh, that was my least favorite part of the whole movie. British people.
Yeah.
When Kylie and I watched it, we came to a truck stop on our way to Disney, and we get off the bus, and first of all, I yell at Coach because I didn't think it was gonna be scary. Because
you told me about that. Yeah.
Most of them aren't that scary, so I was like actually shocked.
This
that I was
one's really
scared.
scary.
And she was like,
In a
I'm
dark
mad at you, and I was like, you wanted a horror movie recommendation.
On the drive? Okay. Yeah.
And like with the blue low lights.
Yeah,
it was bad.
it's dark. Yeah.
And so, but like, all I could say, I was like, I just hate their accents. Every time he screams, "Mom,
Mom."
But
Mom.
in his little British voice, I'm like, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
It can be a little annoying sometimes. Yeah. I feel that though.
I'm anti-British people. Sorry,
I think it's kind of fun.
She's gonna piss off all of our British listeners. You hear that?
Yeah.
All you people over the seas, come at us though.
I think we've got like one. And she's only half.
Our listener.
Really?
Oh, Avi. Oh, yes, she is half British, isn't she?
Yeah.
She talks in half an accent.
No, I'm just kidding. She doesn't.
That sounds like me.
Like the consonants.
And so, she's all that shit. We have the freaking CPS people, not CPS people there. And then
that's how we figure out that she was imagining the hole in the wall, because whenever they get really into there, she just ripped all the wallpaper off. There was no actual hole in the wall. And she tries to double back, and
they're like, you're crazy. And so after they leave,
like, we
and
caught
they're
you in
like,
a bad time.
We're going to come back in a few weeks, whatever. She's like washing dishes, and she's looking across through the yard, and she's looking into the neighbor's house, and she's watching Mrs. Roach, and she's like, it flashes back and forth, and then she actually sees the Babadook across over there in her neighbor's house, and she has this like little moment where she drops the dish and it breaks.
At that point, that's when I was like, oh, Mrs. Roach.
She's going to die.
Sending it. Yeah.
Oh, or she's sending it over there.
No, I did put my notes say, oh no, I hope the neighbor lady doesn't die. And then I was also like, but wait, is she doing it?
Yeah.
That was when the first like bit clicked in my head, and I was like, ooh, fun.
And then, oh my God, this part though cracks me up is the way that he's like, I'm going to go to bed. And she's like, it's 6 o'clock. You cannot, or the pills won't work. And so she's literally like just forcing him to just like stay up. I'm like,
face he made had me die.
Oh, literally when he's like,
she goes like, step, and he goes,
literally, like, he's like,
in his mind, he's like, you crazy bitch, let me go to bed.
Yeah.
I just want to sleep.
And
any parent would be like, thank God.
Yeah.
But then the kid does typically wake up earlier, and then you have to get up earlier.
Exactly.
Just pop the pills later.
Put him in while he's sleeping. Put a little in his gums. Okay, anyway, sorry.
Or just like open it and shove it down his throat with your finger.
Like a
why
dog.
I don't babysit. And so, she's keeping him up. She's playing the TV loud. And then she finally, I guess he falls asleep or they fall asleep. And I just remember lights flickering. I don't know.
Yeah, I just put, bitch, someone is in your house.
Yeah.
I have no clue. And then I put, oh, please don't kill Bugsy.
She wakes up to Bugsy at the door. And then
that's right.
He comes in, and then he's sleeping with him. But then the door opens again, and it's the Babadook. And then that's whenever we get that moment of him then climbing on the ceiling and then like jumping on the bed and getting on top of her when we hear it.
Actively hiding because I was
like,
hiding
literally.
Myself. And then I said, why does he move like that? I was judging him.
Yeah, my notes say, nope, not the ducking door opening. I do not like the way he moves. Holy duck.
Yeah, and he like jumps up, and I can see that like this is where we get that in hindsight. This
is what reminded me of a bug.
And then this is the moment when she technically lets him in, right? Yeah. Because that's whenever we get like the sludge.
And he like falls down onto her.
Yeah.
And now when she wakes up and she's holding her jaw, it's like a bigger, like she makes a bigger sign of it because it hurts her more because it's like actively in her.
Yeah. And so it's like basically it's like a demon, like it's like a possession essentially.
It is.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I got a lot, like it parallels to.
I refer to her as being possessed.
Yeah,
most of
she's
the rest
not herself.
Of this.
Yeah. And so I
really like the way they did his movements there, though. That is like really one of the main and
like
only
times
factors. You actually see him.
Yeah.
And I thought
even then you
beautiful.
hardly see them. You start
yeah, you can't really see his face, and just the way that he was moving was so disturbing, and it felt almost like a stop motion, just like sped up. Yeah. And this is where again it was like very alien-esque or like bug caught in the light. The way that he was moving, it was so it was creeping up, but then in just the most unnatural. And again, maybe with the way he was moving, it's like little blips of time being missing.
Yeah,
I can see that. And so we have her then waking up, and I'm like, at that point I was kind of like, was it a dream, was it not? But we then get the old,
isn't that where she pulls him downstairs and she's like, we're going downstairs.
Yeah,
and he's like, why?
Yeah. And because of all that shit, that was because she's like, we are. And so then they go downstairs, and that's whenever she's watching the whatever old time film.
Yeah, I was a gigantic fan of this.
Yeah,
I loved it.
What year is this supposed to be? Because everything she was flipping through, for the most part, like it was all like grainy and stuff,
old.
And it was like
I feel that.
That's
That's why I thought earlier. I was like, oh, this is back in the day. Same.
Yeah, I mean, she did have. Her phone is somewhat more of a
recent phone.
Yeah. It was about what we had in 2011 and stuff like that.
2013.
Yeah, 2013.
And
God
so,
damn it.
Like,
but I was like, maybe it took place like right before that.
I feel like maybe on like one hand from like, because I don't remember anything from that time period. I was a child. Yeah. But like in my mind, it's like they were stuck in this time because it felt like everything else was so advanced. Like I
feel you. Yeah. She's stuck in the time when her husband died.
Yeah.
But that still wouldn't even line up with the time period of these films. These were like black and white, like 30s, 40s. And it could just be that was what was showing late at night.
Also, late at night.
Probably. And a little bit more classical things. Like I remember turning the TV channels and getting to like
the weird
older
channels or weird things.
I was like, what
but
is
I mean,
this?
also too, it's not like we're gonna be watching her watch some like freaking Lifetime movie. It's gotta be creepy.
It's gotta be creative, and I think it is a nod to the way that the film was filmed,
stylized.
And it was very like
that stop and go, like you said earlier, like a short film, like very fast.
And it was specifically filmed like with this one film in mind, and I am blanking on the name right now. But I
can see that.
Yeah.
And well, from that.
Here we go. Fall of the House of Usher. Yeah. So the 1928 French director Jean Epstein adapted the short story into a horror movie, blah, blah, blah. So production design was influenced by that movie specifically. And
they wanted to make sure that they kept like an element.
I mean, like this is a still from it. It's very much that. And so I feel like it was a little bit of a nod to the film that it was kind of modeled after stylistically.
Paying homage to it. Yeah.
It would have been cool if there were scenes from that in it.
I think there possibly could have been. I think there's also the actual person who the Babadook is like stylized after. I think this movie also showed a little bit in it too. But I don't, of course, remember the name. So, anyways, continue.
Yeah, so like right after that, it's whenever she gets her phone call from work, and I'm essentially assuming that she's getting fired.
That's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, she got fired, and so she wants to literally just like take a nap because she hasn't even slept. And then little Samuel comes in and is like, "I'm hungry. I need to eat because I took the pills." And she probably literally hasn't cooked for him in a minute because it seems like time is just kind of elapsing on itself.
Yeah.
And so, she's then just like literally just ignoring him because she's trying to just hopefully, I guess, think that he'll go away. And he obviously doesn't. And this is where she yells at him to go eat shit.
Yeah.
And it's when okay, I see. Yeah. And she yells at him, and that's whenever he runs away. And not even moments later, that's whenever she comes up to him in his room, and she's like feeling bad because she's realizing,
I feel like it took her a hot second, honestly. Yeah. I was like,
maybe this is not what we saw. Like
from
maybe
a snap like that. Well, no, I don't think like 2 hours, but like I feel like if you were actually empathetic towards your child,
you would quickly.
You wouldn't have said that, but then you would have immediately been like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, come here. I didn't mean that." I feel like she kind of like rolled back over and then was like,
Yeah, whatever.
I guess I should go check on him.
Yeah.
But she does come up and she's like, looks concerned, and she's just like, I shouldn't have said that. I haven't slept and all these things. And so she feels really bad. And she hurt his feelings. He's just like laying, or he's there by the bed on the floor.
Hiding from her.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's recoiling from her touch.
Point, yeah.
Every time that she tries to reach out to him, he shifts away, and she has to bribe him with ice cream for breakfast.
Yeah, because they leave. Yeah.
I also have here that prior her, like when she's laying in bed and she gets mad at him, she goes, all you ever do is like you just keep talking.
Mm-hmm. Don't you ever stop.
Yeah, like it's like the duck.
Mm-hmm. It was in threes.
And I
didn't catch that. Yeah.
When they said Wally's, I was like, we're going to
Walmart.
Wally World.
Yeah, Wally World.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a fucking theme park, and we'd show up there.
Proceeded to write, I need to go to Walmart.
Yeah, literally. And then we have basically she's bribing him to make him feel better because they go to Wally's and he's having his milkshake or whatever it is. But I think for a moment, she's also kind of feeling like she seems kind of bliss for a second. And I think it's because there's that family that's right behind him.
I was like, he's being a real good kid compared to the little shits behind him.
And I think that's for the first time where she's feeling like, at least in that moment, like, oh, though they're way worse right now than he is. And
my
I think
kid's not the problem.
Exactly. And so she's feeling some sort of ease.
Mm-hmm.
See, for me, when she was like apologizing and saying like, let's go to Wally's, it felt like her true self, like, cause like she still has that love for him. And like in my mind, like, you know, like when like in all the other horror movies, when somebody gets possessed, there's those moments of clarity
that they come through. Yeah.
And it's like, that's their true self trying to come out. And so that's how I feel it was in this. Like, so like she's still there.
That's why she was like good in that moment.
Yeah. Kind of like very similar to when the mom is possessed in the original Conjuring. I feel like she has some moments where she slips back and forth, and it's like, oh my God, I'm sorry to
have control of their body.
And like,
their true self.
That's
like,
why when you said like, she took a moment to say like, oh, let me go apologize. It was probably her being like, why did I just do that to my child?
Yeah.
And like not realizing she is possessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think anyone in their like normal state of mind would have immediately flipped, and yet she had to kind of claw her way back up.
She's having moments of cognizance where she's actually coming to. Yeah. And so after that, I think we get another little reference to her having like that toothache or whatever's going on with her jaw. And then we have them in the car, and there's like a little bug that like kind of runs, little June bug. I guess
the same little bug that was coming out of the wall
in the house.
She kept referring to them as roaches, and I was like, those don't look like roaches, but
They're like
I'll
all
go.
over her lap.
Look like June bugs.
Yeah, they did look like
beetles.
June bugs.
And so then they had a car accident basically because she starts like swerving all over the road because she's losing it, and you start hearing like noises above the car, and I think
it sounds like he's literally on top of the car. Yeah.
She hears him. He's saying his name.
Yeah. And so then she goes right straight into another vehicle, and then she yeets right out of that.
The way that she just like stares at him while he's yelling, and then it's just like reverse.
Yeah. Same.
I was like, hell yeah, okay.
But not same, but yeah. And then and then at that point after that, I love how even like Samuel at this point is like concerned for her, because he's just like, because they're back at the house and she obviously doesn't look good. And then we have the like whole like she's in the like bathtub with all the clothes on.
That was gross.
She's clearly unraveling. Anytime you're sitting in a bath fully clothed, bad.
When she and Samuel are walking into the house, Miss Roach goes again. She's like, hey, and
she just ignores her.
And I put, no, Miss Roach, we love you.
Yeah. At this point, I put, thank goodness the neighbor's still alive, because I didn't know if the Babadook was going to kill her
or if she
in the house. Yeah. And then but she was. And yeah. Anytime though, when you're sitting in a bath like tub fully clothed, that's a red flag. That is unhinged.
Puts them in.
I thought she was going to drown him there. I was like, fucking please don't drown him.
All I could think about was, I was like, first of all, jeans, he's going to get a rash. Second of all, was he wearing socks?
That's the worst, sweat socks.
Gross.
Squishy, squish.
And when she said like, it's so warm in here, I almost expected him to be like, Mom, the water's like ice cold.
Yeah.
Kind of
thing.
That's
what I thought he was going to say too, but he didn't.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, anyways, but yeah.
And so we have then, I guess she's asleep. I'm not.
Yeah, right? she's sleeping with the violin.
Yeah,
and this is another like kind of
dreamy kind of sequence, and then we get that moment where it's like there's someone in the house, that muffled like scream voice.
I didn't hear that the first time, so this time when I was watching it, I was like, what was
that? And then
shout out to closed captioning.
Yeah, literally.
This says whisper yell. There's something in the house. There's someone in the house.
And then she goes downstairs and she finds little Samuel. As the way I wanted to say Toby. She finds little Samuel downstairs, and she gets a phone call from Claire because he had apparently called Claire. Right?
No, it was Miss Roach.
It was Miss Roach.
He was on the phone.
Oh, it was Miss Roach. That's right. Miss Roach.
Asking if they could go over.
Curious as to like.
That's right.
Obviously, the Babadook. That's who we're thinking is in the house. But the voice, like I was like, who is saying there's someone in the house? Because it makes me curious as to.
Yeah, it was a different voice. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know who that voice belonged
to.
Anyone,
and so it made me curious as to like. I was like, is it saying that because he's on the phone with Mrs. Roach? Like someone's gonna try to get in the house or something like that.
Yeah,
I could see that.
So he's waking her up.
The voice was the dogs.
Bugsy said that.
Bugsby. And so she at that point I think she's pretty much losing it because she then cuts the phone line.
Yep, she pulls out that knife and it's like, oh fuck. And she's like yelling at him with the knife in his face, and it's just like, yo, woman, you need to calm down, and forces him to take the medication.
More medication. Yeah.
She's like, I'm gonna lock that. No one's gonna get in, and like goes through, locks every single window, which again, they should already be locked, people in your house.
Did you guys see that he didn't take the meds?
He hid it. He was like, oh, I put sneaky.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's
smart little kid.
Because then even when she checks his tongue and stuff, he just like
check his hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
And guess what? Sleight of hand. He's a magician.
He is.
He is.
Oh, that all makes. I didn't even think about that tying together. Yeah, that's smart.
Like this poor kid, he's like literally saying like, I feel sick. Like, this is making me feel sick. I do not feel good. I don't want to take it. And then she just forces him, and it's like, God damn it.
I'm the parent. You're the child.
Yeah.
That's also a whole nother can of worm there. And so then we have her having that little moment watching a TV sequence again, right, where the news montage happens about a woman killing her child.
Yeah, and well, before this too, it's just there's a bunch of just.
No, that was later.
That's later.
Oh,
but there's a bunch of just disturbing like kind of scenes happening. But then she looks over to the couch and you just see Samuel covered in blood,
like gutted,
and it's like he's dead. And at first, I audibly gasped, and my hand like flew to my chest. I was like, I was like, fuck, he's dead, like already. And then she like does a double take, and he's just sitting there like awake, looking at her, and he's like, Mom.
And she looks, and she has the knife poised at his chest.
Yeah, she was like yelling at him, and then she's like, oh fuck. And because I was like, at this point I was like, now she's about to stab him, and I was like, damn it, what the fuck is real? Like I was questioning what was real at this point. I was like, is he already dead? I didn't know. And then here in a little bit is right where then she sits back down after getting him to go to sleep,
and Bugsy comes up to her, and she's
I thought she was going to kill him then,
and
too.
He just like jumps out of her arms.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, poor Bugsy.
Yeah, I thought she was going to kill him there, but she didn't. But this is where the disturbing images start happening in the police report.
Oh,
Sorry.
Is that after or is that before the ice cream?
Oh, I think that is after.
Okay.
The ice cream happens before. Okay. Sorry, I was saying my bit happened
like,
after.
She comes up to him with like a big bowl of ice cream. I'm like, what time is it? Like, why?
It had like marshmallows or something on top too, and I was like, that feels like a gross combination in my mouth.
And then she goes, "There's more where that came from." And you see later, like when
he barely touched it.
It's full.
He probably feels so sick too.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering why she didn't question why he was awake there, because like if you're a child and you're taking a tranquilizer, you should be knocked the fuck out.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's clearly not thinking.
She's not in her right mind.
To me, the police report, it really felt like it was her. She was watching like her future, is what it felt like to me, because it's basically saying like, you know, this woman killed her 7-year-old son or something, stabbed him, and then, you know, then she was killed by the police. But then it pans in on the window and her face is just sitting there smiling, like that big smile, like the Babadook does.
Yeah.
And that was.
At least we know where her son got it from, because he did her face so well.
Yeah.
He did. That big.
And I agree with you. I feel like it's basically things that she's already thinking in her head. Like she's already probably pondered the idea of murdering this child.
Like further made me question. I was like, is Samuel already dead? Is what we saw earlier him being dead, and she's rationalizing it and like making up this whole world in her head while her kid's been laying there dead on the couch
the whole time. Yeah.
I also like the fact that it was an American broadcast.
Yeah.
Like the voices were American, and the families that were outside, like there was a woman like out there like grieving, and it wasn't her.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
that's definitely not their house either.
So I was like, but like it was just like it was so funny to me. I was like, this is like
good juxtaposition.
See, I really didn't notice their accents like at all, except for Samuel's when he would say like "mommy"
certain words.
Yeah. Otherwise, I was just like, this is words.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I watch so many things in different languages
watch international things,
that I'm like, I just read. I read my subtitles and I take it in that way.
And so we have her, and because it's almost like a dream state also again because she sees her husband right down in the basement downstairs.
Oh, well, so right after it, the glass explodes behind her.
Okay.
And then you see Samuel standing there and he goes, "Wake up, mommy." And she goes, "But you're the one who's asleep." And then she follows him down to the basement.
That's right.
And yeah, that's where she gets that line, when he's like, "Wake up, mommy." And she's like, "But you're the one who's asleep." That's fucking creepy. That is creepy as fucking hell. I don't know why. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. Yeah, I'm like, ugh. Like, because then I was like, is he a fucking ghost at this point too?
Yeah.
And so I was like, is he going down to the basement because he's dead?
He says it's not safe, I think. Didn't I have it?
To go into the basement?
Probably. Yeah, I don't know. I just wrote down that creepy line.
He goes like, "Wake up, mommy." And she goes, "But you're the one asleep." And then I have here, it says like, I say, "What's not safe? A room full of pictures?" Because she says it to him as he starts walking down.
Oh, right. Yeah, she says,
right.
The basement's not safe.
What's not safe about the basement? And then you get down there and her husband's there. And I said, "Girl, he's fine, first of all."
Yeah, he was very handsome man.
Then I go, "Not the husband. He wants the boy."
Yeah, because he's just saying, "You need to bring me the boy."
I'm like, that's not him. And then,
also when she starts kissing him and stuff, I really thought it was going to turn into Babadook where they were kissing.
Oh, that was
like her mouth would be like black.
Literally.
That would actually be so
and freak out. Yeah, I could see that happening.
I would have been like, ooh.
I can literally see that.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, essentially it's not, and it is essentially the Babadook, not necessarily your husband, right? Just like it disguises the husband.
The reason, I'm sorry, I have it here. He starts saying like, "Bring me the boy, bring me the boy,"
and his voice is changing.
I said, "His name is Samuel," and then she says it herself. She's like, "His name's Samuel," and like I feel like another reason, like now I'm just thinking of it, but like she might care about the name so much because he might have picked it out.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. That would make sense.
Or what if he was a junior?
I think his name was Oscar.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure. I think Mrs. Roach says it at one point. She's like, "He's just like Oscar." But then I was like, maybe
Horrible
that's
name.
Mrs. Roach's dead husband.
Horrible name.
Yeah.
No, because it's Oscar because she's like, "Stop bringing him up."
Yeah.
Stop mentioning him.
Oh, that's right. She does say that. Yeah. Oscar. But so basically she runs away at that point because she's like, and he like grows and he's so fucking tall, and the way he's like chasing after her, and then she goes and locks herself in the room and puts a little door up, and you just see the hat down the chimney. Nah, that was scary.
Yeah, that was a good build up.
That little bit was kind of actually given. I was kind of like, oh shit, that is fucking creepy.
Because then you see just the fingers come down and
I said, hiding again, it's the Duke with his nasty claws.
That's what, instead of Barbie hands, or this is Barbie hands, what did I just call this? Like weird. I'm going to call them Babadook hands.
Babadook hands?
Whenever I'm teaching how to dance with your hands. Anyways. But then he like basically kind of like stabs her. I don't know. He just jumps on her back as she's trying to.
It looked like he bit her or something, right?
Like tearing her apart.
Yeah.
In the back.
Like getting wrapped. Sure. Like, and she keeps repeating, "This isn't real. This isn't real." And I was like, "Bitch, I think it is real.
It looks like it's pretty real.
It looks pretty fucking real."
Yeah.
And then I put love the camera shutter because when she like wakes back up, like it's like everything like shutters back into space, and for her and like
it did.
She's glitching.
Which again, there was a lot of moments where I was like, well, there was a lot of moments for me that I was like, oh fuck, I have been in that exact space so many times. There's one of I've had that moment where like things glitch like that with my eyes. It's often a time when I'm coming off of one of my like major medications where my eyes will like wiggle like that, like everything, the world glitches and it feels like I'm like teleporting forward, like zoom. like constantly.
Wow.
And it almost makes you like motion sick because it's happening. But that is yet again another very real thing that happens when you do have, I mean, it's happened to me. So I was like, oh shit. I was like, I've seen now anytime when I try to explain it to people, because some people are like, no, I've never had that. I'm going to be like, fast forward to
that part.
This part in the Babadook. And it's like, it looks like this is what the world looks like for me when it's happening. Fun. I'm fucked up.
More that we know. No, I mean, I love that we get to know that about you. That's crazy. No, I would have, and also too, I would have never have been able to probably like vision that.
And maybe that's not what they were going for, but I was like,
that's what it means to you.
Yeah, I was like, I have had that exact motion happen to me so many times, and no one's understood what it was. I mean, like not like doctors, but like just me explaining it to people.
Good little aha.
It was kind of cool to see it.
Yeah.
Visualized.
And so we have her at this point where I'm like, okay, if she wasn't possessed before, she is legit possessed at this point. Because then she gets to Bugsby and she kills Bugsby.
Yeah, because Bugsby and Samuel are hiding upstairs and Bugsby gets out. And
then she grabs him and snaps his little neck.
I skipped it this time because I just couldn't do it. I've literally said that's horrid. Cannot watch it. But
the poor dog. And he starts growling at first.
The first time I watched it on the bus with Kylie, I keep repeating that.
Yeah.
I think we know where I was at this point.
You're good.
We see her pick up the dog and we both go, no. And we take, like, because we're listening with my AirPods and we take him out. And like, the kids around us are like, what's happening? Like, I think his name was Jake. He turns, he goes, what? And I was like, she's killing the dog.
That's the worst thing in movies. Yeah.
We have the volume down. We press play. We watch it, but we don't listen. Yeah. And then, like, the moment it's over, we put it back in.
The way
there's a little snap.
Yeah, and when the body thuds.
Yeah, when the body thuds. Yeah.
The issue is that stuff's fine. I just couldn't deal with this, like the whining.
Oh yeah, the whining is what's sad.
Yeah.
They don't deserve that.
Well, because
he was
kills
such a
protective little
dog,
good boy.
He was
He's a good boy.
Because every time, like, that she like looked at Samuel, he was just like Bugsby was that's my boy.
Yeah,
and I respected it.
And then immediately right after, which also too, like, I'm just like, oh, please wash your hands first. She goes into her mouth and starts digging, like,
pulls out that tooth willy nilly.
I did not figure out why she did that, but I think maybe it's because the pain was.
That's
so
what
bad.
was. Yeah, that's what had been bugging her the whole time. I guess
it's like that was the cap. She's unleashed it all.
Literally, and then we have Samuel coming up to her.
Came in through her tooth.
Right. Well, at that point, doesn't Miss Oh no! That's not something yet. But she starts. That's whenever she chases him. She starts kicking down his door at one point, right?
God,
like fucking so intense.
Like,
she like jumps up. I was like, what is she holding on
to? Literally the ledge.
The door frame. Yeah.
The door frame. Yeah.
She's got some like fucking strong fingertips.
Grip. Well, she was doing superhuman strength. Like literally
she was.
Breaking
that was
down
not
the door.
natural.
Yeah.
And she only did it in like 2 kicks.
Yeah. It was really. I liked that scene. It was like. It was a good, believable way to show. Like, not her, like, throwing a whole bed with her hand or something. That was just, like, that's a believable form of, like, superhuman strength. I feel like.
He fought back
he did.
hard. And, like, what I loved is, like, he got up there and he did something in his room. Like, he hit her back with something. I don't remember what. But then later, like, she's, like, dazed and he's still running through. And he's putting stuff in, like, different parts of the house. Like, he was prepared.
Yeah. He was.
He kept saying it. He's going to fight.
So like I loved that, and then Miss Roach.
Finally, Miss Roach.
Oh wait, but before that, sorry, he pees himself.
Yeah,
and then she's like, "You're 6 years old and you're still peeing yourself." And then this is where she vocalizes, "I wish it was you who died and not
your dad."
Yeah,
I remember.
So that was like the first time she said it out loud, and then she goes, "Sometimes you just talk so much that I want to hit your head against a brick wall until your brains come out."
Yeah,
is what she says,
I think at
and
this
that's
point,
like
this is her unloading everything that she's been holding on to for so long, you know.
And then he yells, "He's like, you're not my mother."
Yeah. I'm like, she's definitely not herself, or she's she's literally her most self right now. Because these are the things that
I feel like this was her very raw being. This was her deepest parts of her, the shadow part of her that she wanted to hide.
And then we have the neighbor, Mrs. Roach, coming in and knock over at the door. And she's like trying to make sure everything's okay. And that's when we get that moment where like, oh, she's so sweet. Because she's like, I love you both. I'll do anything for you. And she's basically just like, you know, tells her to go away, that they're fine. And Samuel is like, no, because then she walks back to the kitchen. He's just kind of like,
he just saw Bugsy's
literally
body.
And then she's like trying to tell him, I'm sorry, it's okay. Like
she's like, I'm sick, Sam. I need help.
Yeah.
And she's like, we're gonna go to Mrs. Roach's tonight, and I'm gonna get better.
Wouldn't she like that?
Well,
but then it shifts very quickly.
Because then she goes, I want you to meet your dad. Yeah. It's beautiful there. And it's like, no. And then he fucking stabs her.
Yeah, he stabs her in the leg.
Yeah. I loved that because his face afterwards, it was such an awkward smile. He was like, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
literally.
sorry, Mom.
Sour Patch Kid.
Sour sweet corn.
And so, yeah. And also, too, like his acting and her acting at this point is like top tier.
Yeah.
Because they're so believable, too, in what's happening between them. Like the fact that most of this movie also is just literally them two. And we're just tied in for the whole ride.
Like I would have died if I was him because I was not smart when I was 7.
Oh yeah, I mean the way that he's
segue to him literally tying her down.
Yeah, he's already got like the house booby trapped and stuff, and we saw that earlier. He was like, "I'm gonna take him down this way," and so like he pulls this little wire, trips her down the stairs, and basically that, she's kind of unconscious there, but then he like fully hits her with something, renders her unconscious, and then this motherfucker got her tied up fast. I was like
a Boy Scout,
and like it was like hella wrapped. I was like, where did he learn how to tie these knots?
I also expected her to be on like a big pentagram. I don't know why the way she was like tied up.
Yeah,
I
can
like, man,
see that.
He really drew it all out.
Yeah, and so
he's
man,
the
he is the whole he wrote everything. It was all him. He's been gaslighting her this whole movie.
Time.
And so we have him basically just kind of pleading with her that like, he wants his mom back. He wants her to fight to like,
she's like, Mom, I'm not leaving you. And he says, I know you don't love me. The Babadook won't let you, but I love you, Mom, and I always will.
And that's whenever you have this moment of her like, oh, but then like she starts choking him,
strangles him.
But like before that, like she like when she's like getting herself out, she's having like this moment where like she's laughing as the Babadook, but in her face it looks painful for her. Like, she's like she wants, and I said like she's there, she is in her.
It's like two people in one body.
Struggle,
yeah.
And like I like how it's not like he only says it once. He's like, you let him in, you have to get him out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, that's it. But like, because other shows will be like, fight him for like an hour.
Yeah.
But don't let it win. And I'm just like, that's not helping. Now you're stressing me out.
Yeah. I'm trying my best here.
Yeah. But it only took that, really.
Yeah. And then he like touches her little face. That's where we get another face cupping. And then after he lives and stuff. And then basically, that's when she throws up the blood or black matter.
The black goo inside of her, essentially the depression, the everything that's been bogging her down, basically.
I said, ew, didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
Oh, yeah. But then
Classic
immediately
possession.
after we think everything's fine, Sam gets yanked.
Yeah, I know. They're going back to the front porch, and I was like, please don't let Miss Roach be dead on the front porch. I thought maybe Mom would have killed her then, too.
Yeah.
I put time for bed.
Right.
Over? And then I looked at them and I was like, oh, y'all need baths.
Y'all do.
Yeah.
She was covered in blood.
Yeah. And then he says, you can't get rid of the Babadook. And then I said, the way he just sits down on the stairs and
to then be
yeeted.
yeeted.
Because like, it's like he's like, you can't get rid of the Babadook. Let me just sit down really cute.
Let's be tranquil.
And then they get up to the room, her room, and he's just standing there, and she makes it in, and he's just chilling there, and then sees her, and then gets
yanked
thrown
again
to the wall.
Yeah.
And I was like, did they plan this?
No, not at all.
I feel like
it was all very practical effects.
Like,
yeah. I mean, I think it was him, like, it was bait. Samuel was literally bait at that point, trying to get the mom to go up.
Oh, yeah.
I also, right here in this part of the film, the sound was muffling. It sounded like we were underwater almost a little bit, and I really loved it. It was subtle. It was not like a in-your-face kind of thing, but it was just there enough that it made you pretty uncomfortable.
I thought I was going crazy. I was like, am I covering my speakers?
I know. I was laying down a little bit, and I had to pick my head up. I was like, maybe my head was just like 2 in the pillow or something.
But that's how it adds, though, too, to this whole like moment that's happening. And then we have her basically yelling, like, what do you want at it? Because we have basically it's self-manifesting in its most, I guess, biggest form, deep form. I don't know, like,
it was that big
it's evolution. Yeah,
she shows
that was happening.
Defiance.
She finally is forced to face her grief. Like what caused her trauma. Like we see
what happens.
Died,
yeah.
right?
God,
like,
and his fucking head
just
getting
sliced in half. And I
on
was
the
like,
bias
wow.
diagonally.
Yeah, and I said that's extreme. But like I love the fact that for her to be able to stand and fight against this monster, she had to view it
she
as
had
what it was.
Yeah,
and
she had to radically accept it. She had to visualize it again.
Beforehand too, there was at one other point in the film where you hear, I think he says it like maybe at the beginning or maybe in one of her dream sequences. He goes, "I think it's gonna rain," and he said it again there. And that was the second time it came up, and then it was like he's like, "I think it's gonna rain," and then it was. I was like,
and the whole time she's
so
just
sad.
screaming. She's like, "No," she doesn't want to see it.
And so we have her because essentially she's facing the fear. It's getting bigger and bigger because she's coming head on with it. Yeah. And when she finally gets to the point where she's like, her and Samuel, as he's holding on to her and she's yelling at it.
Oh, she said, "If you ever touch my fucking son again,
I will kill you." Yeah, like, she confronts it.
And then like he starts pulling her, the child, and she just grabs onto him with all her might. And I was like, that right there is what he needs.
And she's saying, "This is my house. Like, you can't do it." She's staking her claim.
And that's whenever we get the Babadook shrinking in size, basically, and then the coat and the top hat just falling on the floor. And that's whenever she goes up closer towards it, and we get that moment where, like,
we're the Babadook.
Yeah. And then it comes up closer to, like, the flashing happening, and then it, like, pans up on her face, and then it fucking, like, and we hear it, like, kind of moaning, like, sadly, I guess, because it's been defeated, and then it, like, goes like and runs away and goes through the house and then goes to the basement and closes the door behind it.
And you're kind of seeing through its eyes as it escapes.
Yeah.
It's a first person point of view. Yeah, I did too. It made us feel like we're the monster. Like maybe we did something wrong or maybe we all have this inside of us.
And then we have kind of things being normal, I guess. Because at that point I'm like, oh, okay, everything.
I just put, are they magically better? Okay.
Yeah, right. Because then she's like burying she's making the like flower garden on top of Bugsby's, like, you know, where they buried it. And then I think what they have the neighbor who's like, "Oh, when time's the party?" And she's like, "Anytime after 3." So they're finally throwing him a birthday party. Oh, and that's whenever the people come, right? The social workers.
Yeah,
and they have that conversation.
There.
Yeah.
And that's how, because earlier they were like, "We'll be back in a week," and then like at some point somebody had said like. And later, and after the meeting, they were like, "It's been 2 weeks."
It's been 2 weeks since he's been out of school. So all this transpired within like 2 weeks.
Yeah. It was a pretty rapid decline.
Yeah.
And at that point, he also said something. I think that was what he said again about his dad being in the cemetery. He died because of me, kind of thing.
And then she finally says it herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a lot like his dad. He always speaks his mind.
And I think I have it here. I said, she openly talks about hubby's death and accepts her son for like
and he has a birthday party on his actual birthday.
Yeah.
Which was cool. Which was really good.
The full circle moment. Yeah.
And so then basically, they're outside, but they're collecting earthworms after that. As Miss Roach is over there, they're playing darts.
Yeah.
The darts are there again, and they get this little bowl of earthworms, and she brings it down to the basement. At this point, I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh my god. If you looked at the basement door, there's like 8 locks on the lining the roof, like the top of it, and then the side.
Yeah.
I paused it and I counted.
Yeah.
I love it. But then she just sets the bowl down, like, you know, she gets a little scared, but it like tries to rear its head, and then she's like, no, she really kind of puts it in its place, sets the bowl down, and then feeds it. And then she comes back up, and he's like,
will I ever get to go in there?
Yeah. And she was like, maybe when you're older. And he was like, how did it go today? And she was like, you know, it's getting much better. It
was quiet today.
Yeah. Which is good, but sad. And then he.
So I'm thinking like, oh, we do this all day.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, supposed to be also like a reference, a metaphor to like, you never get rid of or get over your trauma. Like you have to just constantly be battling that.
It is with you always. You just merely figure out how to cope. And it is something you have to address every day, especially loss like that. That is something that a significant one like that. Yeah. You have to realize that it's there. There is going to be a moment every day when you wake up alone that.
Or think about, or a memory or something that reminds you of them. And then you think like, oh yeah, you are not here anymore. Yeah. It's always like you're constantly losing that person because you're constantly losing the moments that you could have had.
Exactly.
But yeah.
But then it just basically ends.
And that's the end of the movie, and that's the Babadook for you.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Oh, well, and then he does a little magic trick from his mom, and he pulls a little dove out and stuff. And
I was like, this boy really is magic. Or they're all just still hallucinating.
My last note I have is but ugly boy.
Yeah.
He's just so ugly.
Such an ugly boy.
He just hasn't grown into his features yet.
One day he's gonna be like super famous, and everybody's gonna be like, "Wow, so cute," and I'm gonna be like, "Yeah,
no."
Yes.
So, fun fact: Noah Wiseman is his name, the little boy, and Jennifer Kent, the director, was very conscious not to mistreat him. So basically, during because he was 6 years old, he was 6 years old during this time. And he was picked specifically because of his innocence. They like
went through so many kids, I'm sure.
Yeah, 8 and 9 year olds, and then she was like, none of them are right. And then she saw him and was like, he's it. And I mean, he did a phenomenal job. He really just like felt like a kid who was mistreated.
Going through that, yeah.
But so basically, to shelter him from the horrors of the film, Kent made sure that he was only given a highly edited version of the script, and his mother was also present on set during all the filming, and he was absent from the scenes which the lead, Essie Davis, was required to scream at him. So any of those screaming scenes where she's like telling him he's worthless,
really
he's not even there.
It's like looking at the camera scenes, they're never in the same profile.
Yeah, it's flipping back and forth, so it could definitely be screamed.
What a good little actor then to like emote what he emotes from not even like interacting.
I mean, they did that in The Shining. That's like one of my favorite facts about The Shining is that little boy, no idea he was in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Until like he got
Should we
older.
cover The Shining next week? We haven't decided. That's classic. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's see The Shining. Yay. Anyways. But yeah, so that's the Babadook. There will never be a sequel. Jennifer Kent has been very adamant that she will never make a sequel, which I think is pretty cool.
You make something good, you leave it where it's at.
So now that we're getting to our boo times, William Friedkin, the director of 1973's The Exorcist, said that he had never seen a more terrifying film.
Yeah.
That's some really fucking high praise. Like, fuck the 98% on like Rotten Tomato, anything like that. Like, you got
the
Friedkin to sit there and be like,
the person
this is one of the most
run out of theaters
and pass out and like, yeah, that's some high fucking praise, which I thought was really cool. I was like, oh damn. Like, I mean, if he's acknowledging it,
then it must be a pretty good movie.
Yeah,
it's because it's a queer icon movie. Yeah,
it is.
So, should I start the boos?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 4.
4? Why
solid
is that?
4. I think that it tells a really good story. I love the allegory between it and mental health issues, and kind of gives us a perspective on it of like the horror movie style complex of it. There's not really much in media or movies that show like mental illness in this sense, where it kind of makes it seem like something else. So we get to like see and get to know.
It's a personification.
It's a personification, yeah. And we get to see and get to know her essentially, and not relate her to the monster before we see that, because then it gives us the moment to be able to sympathize with her as well, and sympathize with all the characters.
Thinking that they're being attacked.
But it's really just like their own struggles that they're dealing with.
Their own monsters, which definitely does humanize it. Because like not everyone can relate to having a ghostly experience or something like that. They're not like, oh, this isn't real. But this is real.
Trauma is relatable. Yeah. Loss is relatable. Grief is relatable. And
everyone at some point in their life has felt it.
You've felt it, know someone who's felt it, has seen people act like this or have acted like that, or know people who are going through it. So yeah, it's pretty good. I think like I love the layers that are in the different dimensions. And I just like overall is like it creeped me out at certain points, and it did what a scary movie should do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd give it a 4.
Nice. What about you, Kesley?
I guess I would give it sort of like a 3.5 because I mean it was really good. It's just not really my style of horror. Like it definitely did scare me at points, but like I live more for like demonic things and stuff like that.
Like actual supernatural possession.
Good demonic elements.
I just feel like the first time I watched it, it was very scary. It was like, you know, also mood lighting, I guess.
Yeah.
But this time going back through and rewatching it, I was just it wasn't that scary. Like I did hide at parts, but it's because they scared me the first time. But rewatching it, I was like, why did I?
Because you were anticipating
why was I scared?
it.
Yeah.
And so like I just feel like there's other movies that I've seen before that just like if I'm gonna watch a horror movie, I need to be scared every single time I watch it. And like, I loved the story behind it and like the reasonings behind it. That's why I give it like a higher, like, because for me a 3 is a high score. So,
no,
like,
it is. I mean, it's a short.
It is, yeah.
From 0 to 5, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, anything else you want to add about it?
No.
Okay, I love that. 3.5 and a 4. So, Caitlin,
what did Mike give it? He gave it a 4 as well earlier when we asked him. Or was his a 3.5?
I think his was a 3.5.
I think it
was.
was.
This was a 3 point something.
Oh,
yeah.
Kylie
also. You said a 4? 3.5.
3.5.
3.5, he says, through the window. And then, yes, Kylie, who watched it on the bus with Kesley, she sent us a message in her reasonings. She said that she would give it a 3 out of 5 because it felt like one of those movies that if we had stopped watching it in the middle of it, I wouldn't have been sitting there like, we don't have to finish it. She was basically like, I would have been fine if we just stopped midway, basically is what she said. Which I feel like, I mean, was it because she was scared though? Like, because if that's the case, that's pretty good. That's a good sign.
She and I talked about it, because like the moment the movie ended, she and I talked. Like I went into it with the it's elevated horror mindset because of Scream.
Yeah,
and so she went into it with like nothing, and so like after the movie ended, I was like, "Ooh, let's discuss it. Let's like, how did you feel about it?" She was like, "It was a good movie," and I was like, "Yeah, I feel like the Babadook was her grief and her depression," and she was like, "Oh, I just thought it was scary." Like all of that went over my head.
Yeah.
And so
I think
just,
for some certain, I mean, even for me too, like watching it this time, and especially when you're watching something like for us, we podcast, we can be scrutinizing it and like, you know, picking at it. There were a lot of things that I appreciated more this time that I didn't the first time.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Sometimes movies take a second watch. For me personally, like I said earlier, I would give this movie a 6 if I could. So solid 5 from me because I just loved everything about the film. I thought everything from the way that it was shot to the dialogue to everything was just so believable. And the acting was great. I never questioned it for a second. Yeah. Even coming from a 6-year-old kid, like that's phenomenal. He
Honestly,
did a really great job. Because like I feel like a lot of kids can play that really creepy, just silent type. He was emoting some very
heavy
like,
emotions, feelings, things that are going on.
He was doing
real life.
Intense stuff, and so it was just very cool to see that. I can't think of a single aspect of this film that I would want to change. I loved it. I think it was exactly the way it was meant to be, and yeah, I mean, it is a classic
queer LGBTQ plus IA.
That's right. Thank you, Netflix, for that. And I mean, we're getting the Babadook out of it. So what more could you want?
I think one thing I need to have changed about this movie was their accents. I just couldn't do it.
Oh, speaking of which,
we set the story in an American
not the accents.
type of like situation.
But the person who actually played the physical embodiment of the Babadook was just someone from the art department. They literally we can save some money. It was kind of like in Halloween and stuff when they were just like, okay, whoever can put on the fucking mask. Like it was basically that. They're like, we'll save some money and now you're the Babadook. Cool. Good job.
I was expecting the Babadook's face to be more scary than it was.
I mean, I don't know. See, because of that, like that face seems like kind of real too, which
I can see that.
Because sometimes it's so like CGI. That just looks like a fuck ton of weird ass makeup on your face and then just like
creepy guy.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was expecting it to look more like
it was a little comical.
Yeah,
but
I can see that.
It just sort of looked ghostly to me, and that just took away a lot of the horror aspect for me.
Yeah,
I mean, it's coming in. He is coming up from the very deepest recess of your mind, and so he's got to be kind of pale, huh? He never sees sun, never sees light of day.
That's true.
He is tucked away for no one to
in
see.
Darkness.
Well. On that note, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios. They are probably like, get the fuck out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in for a long one. But there was just so much to discuss with this, and we had a good time.
We did.
But if you want to listen to us or any of the other lovely Rogue Media Network podcasts, you can do that on
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
That's right. And you can also find us on a host of streaming platforms, the biggest two being
Apple Podcasts.
That's right. And you want to do it?
Spotify.
That's right.
Ooh.
And wherever you are listening, please don't forget to
Rate, review, like, subscribe.
That's right. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, shout it from the rooftops. And if you want to follow along and figure out what we are going to, or tell us your thoughts on the Babadook and let us know, maybe you've got some ideas on The Shining that you want read on the podcast. Let us know.
Or any other movie.
Any other movie. Any of the other ones. Yeah. Just drop us a line on Instagram. And that is...
BOOBAES, because we are your boobays, not your boob babes.
That's right. And that's at Boobays Podcast. We didn't say that part, but you got it.
I was lost.
You spelled it.
No, you're good.
You did such a good
job.
job.
We literally threw you into the wolf to the lion's den.
See? It's when you get here, it's like,
yeah, when it happens in the
I've been
moment.
anticipating that moment since episode 1.
It's true. There was one point where we were at like some sort of dinner thing, and she was like, because we were your boobays, not your boobay. And she like spelled it all out. And I was like, oh, she really does listen. That was at that point I knew that you did because you would like talk to me about each of the episodes and stuff. But then I was always like at that point I was like, oh no, she listens, because I do that. Yeah. Like every time I'm listening to Aaron Mankey's like lore, I'm like, I'm Aaron Mankey and this is lore. Like every single time. Yeah. And so it's fun. Anyways, we appreciate you always listening, being our major listener, other than like I listen, I know the moment they drop. That's mainly to make sure I'm not saying anything dumb.
She's your biggest fan.
But you are. So we appreciate you, and I'm very sad. No, she is not my student anymore, for any of you that are.
But that makes this possible.
That's what makes this. Yeah, I was allowed to come today.
Yeah. Exactly. I was like, you cannot be any part of this until you have graduated. But yeah, so anyways, thank you for tuning in to this very special episode. We will be covering The Shining next week, so a classic again. And on that note,
bye,
bays.
Bye, bays.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Hey, Cricket customers, Max with ads is included with your Cricket $60 unlimited plan at no additional cost. Nice! Max is the streaming platform where you can watch Scoob, Meg 2 The Trench, The Nightmare on Elm Street collection, and so much more. Remember me. Just log in with your Cricket username and password to experience Max on all your favorite devices.
We've never seen this before.
Max, the one to watch for a good scream with Cricket. Phone plan streams in standard definition. Programming subject to change. Fees, terms, and restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.